American Comics, Makeup Containment. I Create a Foundation. Chapter 51 Psychic Commander Training Manual, Breaking Through the Limits of Mortals. Foundation Paradise Island Base, Restaurant A. Chen Feng yawned, picking out breakfast in the dining room with a plate in his hand a little tiredly. The discussion on the details of the project last night was too torturous. He still suffers from being young and inexperienced. In the end, Chen Feng always feels like he has lost more than 1 billion yuan. Commander, here are your lamb chops, which are cooked by the back kitchen after the carefully selected day-lying lamb has just been slaughtered. Chen Feng looked at the other thing on the dinner plate in doubt, and asked in confusion, "What is this?" "A well-cooked lamb lance and egg, and tender roasted lamb liver, and a glass of gin." The chef gave Chen Feng a look that any man could understand, and whispered mysteriously, "I also added a sauce made from fugu white seeds according to the secret recipe, which is very effective in boosting energy. There are rumors in Colonel Han's hometown that this gin can have double the effect." Chen Feng coughed twice. "It's just a normal cooperation negotiation. What are you thinking about?" "Ha ha ha ha, definitely. What I'm talking about is business negotiation. I wish you a pleasant meal, sir." The officers and soldiers of the Special Task Force who watched Chen Feng's embarrassment in the restaurant watched this scene cheerfully. Colonel Hans, the rigid old Prussian funk, was still holding a glass of wine, and took the lead in booing, "To Commander." "Respect, Commander." "Ah, it seems that the loss of more than 1 billion yuan in business is very conspicuous. Everyone can see it?" He smiled and raised his glass, "To Mobile Task Force." Putting down his glass and sitting back on his seat, it can be seen that these people in the base actually respect and love Commander Chen Feng very much. The commander who is willing to dine with officers and soldiers in the restaurant, and even waits in line honestly, and I go first when there is something to do, is always more respected than the commander who makes a small fuss when there is nothing to do. Otherwise, if the prosperous times are domineering, the troubled times will be prosperous, and the spirit of the foundation will be completely lost. It will be absolutely useless. Having said that, the body that has been strengthened by the customized version of the T-virus can still compete with the limit of normal human physique. Sure enough, there is still a need to explore the path of genetic strengthening. Chen Feng thought so, forked a piece of lamb chops and chewed it in his mouth. It was really tender, juicy and extremely delicious. Is it because of the basil sauce? The advantage of the A-level base is that even if the chef of the restaurant is thrown to the outside world, it is still at the level of a top restaurant chef. After all, when dealing with contained objects, task force members are very prone to psychological problems, so the logistics of the foundation base are top-notch. This time, Chen Feng finally realized how terrifying a woman whose body was already super extraordinary was, so improving her own strength had to be put on the agenda as soon as possible. After breakfast, take a gulp of gin. Coming to the training room, Chen Feng already had a full understanding of the Psychic Commander. The career direction of Psychic Commander can be known just by looking at the name. Although he also has a strong combat ability, he still prefers the command system. The concept of the Supreme Psychic Commander came from the world of extreme panic. In order to deal with the new situation of war, the federal government of the world authorized a military enterprise named Amazon Technology Company to study this project. For this project, Amakian even established a city, selected tens of thousands of children with spiritual potential from the entire federation to enter the company's facilities, and finally selected less than a few hundred children with this potential. It's training to become a soldier. But in the end, the experimental subject who was really qualified to become a psychic commander ran away, and caused a series of terrible disasters. It can be said that Amakian, that is, the ATC company, spent such a large price, but only produced one defective product. The psychic commander of the foundation is a perfect body produced according to the research of this concept. A psychic commander must be a psychic with strong spiritual power traits, who can communicate with his troops through psychic power, instantly perceive the entire battlefield situation, and command the troops to victory. Every psychic commander can perceive and control the battlefield situation, and can add various strengthenings to troops through Shinic spells, such as spiritual inspiration, spiritual comfort, calm wind, stasis shield, etc. Not only can it provide a great increase in strategy, but its individual also has a great combat ability. It can directly use soul fire attacks on the enemy, or perform soul stealing, and Shinic splitting releases debuff. When a psychic commander is strong to a certain level, he can also perform terrifying strategic level killing techniques such as psychic domination, void spear, void crack, etc. on the enemy. Since the psychic commander can reach the foundation's D-level evaluation even if he is just getting started, the D-level stage already belongs to extraordinary creatures. D-level life forms, not only their vitality, but also their spiritual power, have already undergone metamorphosis. Without any weapons, one person can contend against a company-level modern mechanized force. If converted to ancient times, it would be one enemy against 10,000. Chen Feng's spiritual power is far stronger than ordinary people's due to the rewards he received for containing 939 before, and after so many days of adaptation, his mental power is already very strong. Reached the threshold of Psyche system, Use the Psychic Commander Training Manual. When Chen Feng used the Psychic Commander Training Manual, he immediately noticed that his life level was blessed with a great force in an instant. Powerful life energy was injected into his body, constantly metamorphosing his muscles, bones and internal organs, and spiritual energy was strengthening his brain. Numerous training techniques and memories of the Psychic Commander flooded his brain. When Chen Feng opened his eyes again, a golden amber light emerged from the depths of his pupils. The mortal body has broken the limits of the human body at this moment and achieved extraordinary achievements. Chen Feng looked at the target on the Foundation's training ground. A light blue flame burst out in his hand, and hit the target as quickly as a bullet. The flame directly ignored the armor on the target and burned. A heavy armor unit simulated by the computer was instantly burned by the soul fire, and the heavy armor was intact in the system's judgment. Looking at this scene, Chen Feng couldn't help being shocked. Too strong, worthy of being an S-level occupation judged by the system. I am just getting started, and one of the most common skills can kill a computer-generated D-level heavy armor unit target. That is a tyrant-level existence. Chapter 52 Conception of Shinik Forces. Psychic commanders are undoubtedly very powerful, but in order to exert their maximum combat ability, they need to create matching troops. If there is no matching army to use, the Psychic Commander's strategic ability will be greatly weakened. The Psychic Commander is a bit like the hero unit in Heroes of Might and Magic. Although it is not without individual combat power, its various abilities still need to lead the corresponding legion to play out. This is both the flaw and the strength of Psychic Commander. According to the knowledge in the Psychic Commander's training manual, Chen Feng learned that ordinary soldiers are not suitable for the Shinik command method of the Psychic Commander. For example, in the world of Red Alert that everyone is familiar with, there is a country called Yuri Empire that is good at using psychic super ability. The units in the Yuri Empire camp, even the most basic infantry, are super ability recruits who can shoot firebombs. It's not that he can't command normal mortal troops, but the problem is that mortal minds simply cannot establish a spiritual link for a long time. Without the establishment of a mind link, Chen Feng would not be able to activate the perception ability on a legion scale. It would be fine for 1 or 2 short-term battles, but if he used a mind link against ordinary mortal troops for a long time, he would have to recuperate for at least a few months after the battle. So psychic commanders either use clone soldiers who have erased all emotional minds, or genetically evolved fighters, or high-level soldiers like Shinik soldiers. Or they use the mechanical ascension system, such as the artificial humanoids of the Yoroa army, tactical humanoids, or ship girls. Fortunately, after using the Psychic Commander Training Manual, Chen Feng got a blueprint for the building. Psychic Warrior Academy. After building this building, Chen Feng can select qualified people with psychic potential through the Psychic Warrior Academy to enter it for training. But looking at the cost, with 50,000 rumors, 3,000 basic psychic recruits can be trained every 3 months. Seeing that he could barely pass the 10 watts rumor rate, Chen Feng gritted his teeth and decided to build it. For the rest of the rumors, Chen Feng did not directly purchase support from the Foundation, but instead spent some cost-effective technological materials. For example, the production materials of puppet-type clone soldiers, the sample data of T-Series virus products in Biochemical World, the production authorization of MTFI combat exoskeleton, the production authorization of our intelligent drone, etc. Rather than directly purchasing all kinds of support from the system, it is better to directly purchase authorization in one step. The current 2 MTFs are enough, plus there are Kreja Corps military posts. A Kreja Corps of 10,000 people can be summoned every month. And now Chen Feng no longer needs to waste Truma points to directly buy reinforcements from the Foundation. Ordinary conventional troops, Chen Feng is enough, and what he needs next is to build various high-end combat power. At least he must first prepare the clone puppet soldiers dedicated to his spiritual commander. Shinik troops will be one of the development directions of the Foundation's high-end combat power in the future. All psychic recruits under Chen Feng's command will receive various promotions after a certain battle, and then he will assign some elite psychic soldiers to the regular mobile task force, thereby improving the overall strength of the Foundation. Combat effectiveness, forming a virtuous circle. After finalizing the direction, Chen Feng immediately recruited Miss 2B, who was his adjutant and part-time security officer. I'm going to expand the Foundation base, and soon the Foundation headquarters will send engineers and personnel to the base. Among them, I will build a Psychic Warrior Academy to train psychic soldiers, pass it on, and tell the MTF Mobile Task Force that anyone who is interested and qualified can enter the school for training. Follow Commander. Looking at Miss 2B who was going to convey the order, Chen Feng couldn't help but think of Queen Xfeng, who is also an artificial intelligence. Now that everything has been taken care of, taking advantage of your free time, you must experience the fun of men. Aren't guns, machinery, tanks, airplanes, warships, and meshs all fun for men? After being promoted to the spiritual commander, Chen Feng's body has surpassed the strength of ordinary people, and he can already use some unconventional weapons and equipment. For example, the FFR-41 Mr. Electronic Fighter Snow Wind. This fighter has 2 strong maneuverability, and in order to protect the driver, a lot of airframe performance has to be limited. Even a very good test pilot can die suddenly on the spot due to the gravity overload caused by the powerful acceleration ability of the aircraft. So many aircraft are made like this, and in many cases it is because the driver limits the extent to which the airframe can play. Just like the guns used by human beings, the technology is actually enough in many cases, but limited by the strength of the human body. It can only be designed with such power. In the foreseeable future, with the emergence of a large number of Foundation Task Force supermen, the Foundation Horror will design a bunch of equipment for those super soldiers. As for now, Chen Feng has changed into a set of flight crew equipment, and slowly walked towards his brand new car. The world's most powerful fighter, FFR-41 Mr. Snow Queen. Chapter 53 Mach 20. You told me it was a plane? It is said that a deadly arrow remained on the earliest Homo sapiens skeleton discovered. From ancient times to the present, the warlike gene has been deeply rooted in the link of human DNA. Pursuing higher, faster, stronger, constantly breaking through oneself is the pursuit of every man. Chen Feng, who was born as a Foundation agent, has mastered the skills to skillfully control all the vehicles of human beings from ancient times to the present. From all-terrain motorcycles, assault vehicles, anti-mine ambush vehicles, to tactical heavy trucks, or infantry fighting vehicles, tanks, hovercraft, motorboats, warships, and nuclear submarines. Then he can fly helicopters of the Air Force, strategic bombers, ground attack aircraft, and fixed-wing fighter jets. Putting on the new high-intensity anti-G suit and picking up the HUD flight helmet, when Chen Feng walked out of the locker room, he felt his body become excited. Next to the hangar, the ground crew of the maintenance team had completed the maintenance work, and all the maintenance personnel in the hangar focused their attention on Chen Feng, who walked in. The maintenance squad leader walked up to Chen Feng and gave a military salute. Sir, the maintenance work has been completed, and the body is in perfect condition. Thank you, old squad leader. It's a pleasure to serve you, sir. Everyone is waiting for you to test the performance of the new fighter jet. Good luck, sir. Chen Feng breathed a sigh of relief, walked to the side of FFR-41, climbed into the cockpit through the ladder, and closed the hatch cover casually. Put on the flight crew helmet, turn on the HUD of the helmet, turn on the instrument panel, and then turn on the power. After the engine warms up for a while, the HUD interface lights up. This is 001, tower, the fighter plane is ready. This is the control tower, fighter plane 001, runway 1 has been cleared, and the catapult is ready. Please open the fighter plane to the ejection area to take off. 001 received. Chen Feng slowly started the aircraft engine, pulled the steering gear, and the fighter plane slid on the ground and moved to the designated takeoff area. The airspace is cleared and the catapult is ready for takeoff. In an instant, all the indicator lights on the runway turned green, and then the catapult under the tail of the aircraft warmed up and ejected instantly. With a blue tail flame, Chen Feng suddenly felt an extremely powerful pushback. In just a few seconds, the fighter jet jumped into the sky. This was Chen Feng's first time flying a fighter jet, but he was extremely proficient. First, I got acquainted with various tactical moves. After doing a few standard yo maneuvers in the air and trying the basic thrust, the feeling of soaring in the sky is fascinating. At this moment, in front of Chen Feng's HUD, a beautiful girl with white hair and blue pupils appeared in front of the screen. Commander, please use my full capabilities. You are Xfeng? Although a little surprised, Chen Feng was sure that she was Xfeng's artificial intelligence life. It seems that this Xfeng is not the original version of the aircraft in the animation world, otherwise it would not be possible to get an S-level evaluation. After just a series of driving, Chen Feng discovered that this aircraft is not built for ordinary people at all. Either it is an unmanned state controlled by artificial intelligence, or there must be a driver with extraordinary physical fitness. You must know that the most powerful ordinary ace flightman can only withstand the gravity overload of 12 G, which is already challenging the limit of human beings. But for the many maneuvers that Chen Feng unintentionally flew just now, even if he was wearing this high-strength anti-G suit, the overload was at least 10 or 20 Gs. If it were an ordinary driver, he might have passed out at this time, but Chen Feng didn't seem to feel it. Well, the restrictions are lifted. Chen Feng opened the safety of the side body limiter, and instantly pressed the button. When the nose of the FFR-41 was pulled, as the color of the tail flame deepened, a huge amount of roar burst out instantly, and then a sonic boom cloud was formed when the fuselage surrounded it and broke through the sound barrier. At this moment, the surroundings of the fighter plane seemed to be as charming as wings of light. Mach 5, Mach 6. The speed has been boosted to Mach 10. At the moment, the speed of this fighter has surpassed the highest record set by the Federal Experimental Aircraft. At the moment, the Federal Air Force and SHIELD both received a radar message. We found an unknown flight object near Los Angeles. Oh my god. The unknown flight object is flying at an extremely high speed. Its speed has exceeded Mach 8, Mach 9, Mach 10. Hell, we need to send our Air Force to intercept the target. But sir, we don't have any flight machines that can match its speed. As for SHIELD, when Nick Fury heard the news, He and his assistant Pierce looked at each other. Black Braised Egg held the phone and asked again, like the monitoring personnel over there, "What is the speed of the unknown flight object you mentioned? It can't be a missile, can it?" "Sir, his speed has reached Mach 20 just now." "Damn, the missile can't have such a maneuvering route." "This is the flight device." "Are aliens invading the Earth?" Nick Fury felt his head hit, and he couldn't help but make a call to Phil Coulson. "Phil Coulson, you said that the intelligence detected before his database of the Foundation is likely to be near Los Angeles?" "That's right, Director Nick. According to reports from Natasha Romanoff and Agent Sky, it seems to be so." "What's wrong?" "The Foundation ... Did the Foundation release another containment like 096? Just now we detected the existence of a suspected flight device. Its speed has reached Mach 20. At the moment, in the night sky, Tony Stark, who was driving them Ki back, suddenly heard the crazy alarm from JARVIS. "Sir, there is an unknown aerial object approaching at an extremely fast speed. Its speed has reached Mach 20. "What? JARVIS? What are you talking about?" "Mach 20. Damn. What is this thing?" As soon as the words fell, a group of high-speed objects like meteors passed behind him in an instant, and then she decelerated at an extremely incredible speed and at a large elevation angle. Only then did Tony see that it was a fighter plane. "Yo, Tony, what a coincidence. Are you racing meshs?" "Coincidentally, I'm also test driving my new wife." Chapter 54. The Council of 12 Roundtables, the undercurrent surging Stark Group. Tony, who was wearing the Mk2 steel battlesuit, looked at Chen Feng, who was greeting him in the cockpit next to him with a dazed expression. Looking at the extremely streamlined aerodynamic shape of the black technology fighter, it is as agile as a bird, and even its flexibility and mobility are not lost to its own Mk2 armor. Tony's A's went straight. "Wardfer? Dude, what kind of black technology is this?" This is really crazy, buddy. Is it okay if I trade Mk2 with you?" Chen Feng gestured with disgust on his face and resolutely refused. "Brother, nowhere. My wife won't let me out. However, if you finish the work at hand, the Foundation is still waiting for you to develop new equipment together." "Well, I have time anytime." Seeing Tony wearing Mk2, who seemed to have flown back thousands of kilometers away, Chen Feng suddenly thought of the plot of Iron Man. "This Tony seems to have just flown back from the Atella organization." Chen Feng remembers that according to the plot of the American comics world, normally speaking, the Atella organization should belong to a small subsidiary organization called the Ten Commandments Gang. But this American comics world seems to be somewhat different from the American comics world in Chen Feng's memory. After gaining the power of the Foundation, Chen Feng once investigated some organizations in the plot. However, it was discovered that there was no Ten Commandments Gang, but a mysterious organization called the 12 Round Table Council instead. This is an organization that is said to have a comparable history to Hydra. Like Hydra, this organization has been trying to rule the entire world. In almost all Western historical events, you can see the 12 Round Table. It is rumored that even the first president of the Federation established the White Eagle Federation with the assistance of the 12 Round Table Council. The reason why Chen Feng thought of the 12 Round Table Council at this time was because Chen Feng learned a piece of news when he and Ophelia exchanged information that night. Did the Chaos Separatists actually receive some funding from the Council of the 12 Round Tables at the beginning of their establishment? A separatist faction that Ophelia did not deal with had an extremely close relationship with the Council of the 12 Round Tables. However, this Chaos splinter seems to be secretly contacting Stark Group shareholders, including Obadiah, who is trying to replace Tony as chairman. Just when Chen Feng was about to ask Tony about this, X Feng's voice came from the earphones. "Commander, we found 2 armed targets approaching us. Do we need to conduct electronic control, or shoot them down directly?" Chen Feng glanced at the radar. 2 F-35As, a Federal Air Force plane. Chen Feng glanced at the slow-moving Mk2 flying beside him, and shook his head. Tony's trouble has come to him. "A guest came to you. You can solve it yourself, and find a bar to discuss in detail at night." After finishing speaking, Chen Feng pulled the steering gear. FFR-41 Mystic Swing quickly opened the distance from Mk2 like a fairy with light wings. OMG, this bastard, where did he find a fighter jet? It's so exciting. Tony, who originally thought Mk2 was very fragrant, could only look at the fighter jets going away, eating the tail flames, and instantly felt that the Mk2 he was wearing was not fragrant. At this moment Tony suddenly heard the siren of JARVIS. "Sir, you seem to be locked." "What?" "Report to the headquarters. Only one unidentified flight object was found, and the other unidentified flight object has disappeared. Did you shoot down the unknown target?" "Allow shooting down." Tony was taken aback for a moment, and then 2 F-35As surrounded him, one from the left and the other from the right, and one of the F-35As directly fired a short-range combat bomb very unceremoniously. "Ward, what the hell?" JARVIS, put me through to Colonel James. At the Foundation base, X Feng gracefully landed in the underground airport, and Chen Feng jumped out of the cockpit happily. "Bye-bye X Feng, go for a drive when you have time. Miss 2B at the side handed over a bottle of happy water, and Chen Feng unscrewed it casually. After drinking tons, the satisfied Chen Feng casually said to Miss 2B, "Prepare a civilian car, I'm going out tonight." Compared to Chen Feng's indifferent attitude, Tony, who was riding a mesh, did not go so smoothly. It took a lot of effort to get home safely. JARVIS, prepare a sports car, tell Pepper, don't prepare my dinner. Afterlife Bar, a bar with a strange name, but the store is very popular. Chen Feng sat at the bar like a regular customer. Tony walked into the bar, and immediately saw Chen Feng sitting at the bar. "Hey, buddy, where did you find the bar?" "This place is really nice, but the name is a bit weird." Chen Feng smiled. "I just can find these good stores." "Boss, have 2 glasses of David Martinez." Tony looked curious. "What kind of wine is this?" "What a weird name," Chen Feng said leisurely, as if I was a regular customer and would never cheat you. "Simply put, it's vodka mixed with whiskey, iced and cola." "There is another story about this glass of wine. Do you want to hear it?" "What story?" The bar was mixing drinks in a fancy way, and soon 2 glasses of David Martinez were ready. Chen Feng picked up his glass and took a sip. A story about a power boy who wanted to take his beloved girl to the moon, but failed, but helped her blast a piece of sky with his fists. 15 minutes later, Tony drank the wine with tears streaming down his face. "Damn it, Adam Hammer is really not a thing." Chen Feng patted the tearful Iron Man, and patted his shoulder. "Well, Tony, your company is going to have an Adam Hammer to hammer you." "Who?" "Stark can't have this kind of bastard, can he?" "Wait, I think of someone." With Tony's intelligence, he suddenly imagined Obadiah, who had been very wrong lately. "Looks like you finally found out that the Stark Corporation has an insider." "Hiss, I just didn't expect that the ghost would be him. Can you destroy your conscience for the sake of profit?" Chen Feng gave Tony a strange look, and took another sip of his drink. "As an arms dealer, is it really okay to say this?" "That's all in the past. Stark is no longer involved in the arms trade." "That means that part of the Stark group is out of your control now?" Chen Feng picked up his glass and drank it down, then stood up and patted Tony on the shoulder again. "I think you can turn up the security alert, otherwise your Pepper will become David's second." "By the way, David actually doesn't like to drink carbonated drinks. That's what Lucy likes to drink." "Also, remember to pay the bill." Tony, who had just recovered from the story in the breaking news, got another round of the knife. Chapter 55 The Enemy Within. Obadiah. The abnormal containment object 008. The mother strain of the zombie virus is an extremely dangerous existence. As early as Chen Feng accepted Ophelia's surrender, Chen Feng proposed to contain the abnormal containment object 008. The mother strain of the zombie virus. However, Ophelia told Chen Feng at the time that although the Chaos Separatists possessed T-virus-related technology, the mother strain of the abnormal containment 008 zombie virus was controlled by the Chaos Separatists, controlled by the 12 Round Table Council. In the hands of forces, Chaos Splitters are actually the same as Hydra, internally not unified, highly divided, and even some forces within it compete with each other or even become hostile. For them, they are less lenient when dealing with internal enemies than external enemies. In order to contain the anomalous containment object 008, Chen Feng integrated Ophelia's intelligence. After sorting out the information from Ophelia, the Foundation's intelligence analysis officer found an unusual piece of news: that there was something wrong with Obadiah. Obadiah is a shareholder in the Stark Group. Although he has worked with both Stark and his son, this person has extremely high ambitions for the Stark Group and has always wanted to take the Stark Group as his own. According to the Iron Man plot, after Tony announced that the Stark Group would completely abandon the military industry, the conflict between Obadiah and Tony was irreconcilable. If it weren't for wanting to use Tony's superb IQ and outstanding research ability, Obadiah would have wanted to replace him. Originally, Obadiah's ambition was gradually born with the support of the 10 Commandments gang. But there is no idiot organization like the 10 Commandments gang in this world, but the more mysterious and ancient 12 Round Table Council. So Obadiah's performance has not deviated from the track when Tony has just been captured by the Atella organization. However, after the containment appeared and the Foundation showed its prominence, Obadiah's life trajectory became strange. According to Ophelia's intelligence, Obadiah should have contacted another faction of the Chaos Separatists. During the period when Tony was not in the company, he had been secretly carrying out the personnel changes of the Stark Group, inserting Chaos Splitters into the Stark Group. After learning that Obadiah was suspected to be in contact with the Chaos Separatist forces controlled by the 12 Round Table Council, Chen Feng sent Foundation agents to investigate it. Using the Foundation's powerful electronic ability, they even hacked into Obadiah's mailbox and checked his recent transaction records. At this time, the Foundation's agent discovered some clues. Obadiah seems to have been funding a certain organization recently, and this organization is actually the Atella Armed Forces. During this period, the Atella organization, which had been confirmed to have been mostly destroyed, became active again frequently. After Chen Feng discovered this, he immediately dispatched Foundation agents and reconnaissance planes to the Afghan region for reconnaissance. At this time, he found that the reborn Atella organization not only possessed a large number of advanced weapons and equipment, but also a large number of unfamiliar people. Personnel. After Chen Feng exchanged this information with Ophelia, he discovered that a large number of strange armed personnel in the Atella organization were probably chaos splitters. During this period of time, a large number of people disappeared in all areas where the Atalla armed organization was active. Although these disappearances were covered up by the chaos insurgents, the cover-ups did not hide from Foundation agents. Chen Feng tested the FFR-41 Mr. Electronic Fighter today because after receiving this information, he specially chose a time when Tony came back from Afghanistan to contact him. Chen Feng believes that once he contacts Tony, SHIELD and Hydra will know about it, because they have been paying close attention to Tony Stark, the head of the Stark Group who just returned from Afghanistan. If the Council of the 12 Round Tables has mastered the mother strain of the Containment 008 zombie virus, it might have a lot of cards that Chen Feng doesn't know about. Chen Feng, who has a cautious personality, would not let the Foundation directly test the strength of the 12 Round Table Council. The best way is to let SHIELD go first, and see what Obadiah and the 12 Round Table Council are up to. Although the abacus of Obadiah and the 12 Round Table Council almost hit Chen Feng's face, but what kind of abacus they were planning, they had to do a lot of planning to know what would happen. Chen Feng at the moment has returned to the base headquarters of the Foundation's Paradise Island. As soon as he entered the headquarters, he saw Mrs. Ophelia and a bunch of intelligence personnel from the Foundation busy here. Chen Feng walked into the intelligence room followed by Miss 2B, looked at the screen that had been stalking Obadiah, and asked casually, "How is it? Is there any movement?" Hearing Chen Feng's question, the intelligence officer immediately replied, "There is movement, sir. Not long ago, Obadiah seemed to have attacked Tony Stark's villa, and then he stole the arc reactor of the steel battlesuit Mk2. Sir, do we need to snatch the arc reactor back?" Although he is very envious of the arc reactor, Chen Feng knows that this is all bait, and how can he catch big fish if he doesn't want to use the bait? So he immediately stopped the proposal. Negative, continue to observe. I think SHIELD will definitely take action in the future. Based on our investigation, it appears that 2 agents of SHIELD have come to Stark's seaside cliff house. Sure enough, SHIELD just couldn't bear it. Let our people keep watching and report the progress to me at any time. Obey, sir. After giving the order, Chen Feng glanced at Ophelia who was leisurely watching the show. Then Mrs. Ophelia, what do you think your internal enemy will do? Ophelia glanced at Chen Feng resentfully when she heard the words, and said with gusto, "Are you just thinking about information that much?" Chen Feng shrugged. Then what else can you worry about besides information? According to my understanding, they should have a big move. Big move? How big a move? It's likely to shock the world. That is indeed a big move. I think we need to exchange information in depth tonight. Madame, you have helped us win the initiative in this war, and everything is not over yet. Chapter 56 Widow Sister comes. Tony's asylum request. Tony, who was in high spirits in Afghanistan in the morning, was in a state of embarrassment at the moment. Tony never expected that this old guy, Obadiah, would actually go for a robbery and sneak attack. I didn't notice for a while that I was attacked by Obadiah. Even his newly built arc reactor was snatched away by Obadiah. Now that Obadiah has disappeared, Pepper is bandaging Tony's wound with a distressed expression. Just then, 2 unexpected guests came to the door. The fully armed Widow Sister and Sky saw Tony in a panic as soon as they entered the villa. Tony didn't expect that he was caught by 2 agents just like that when he was attacked in a panic. Widow Sister Tony has seen it and has impressions. I remember you. Didn't you apply for an assistant a few days ago? Ha, you geese don't even hide it. The real identity is the agent of the Logistics and Attacks Bureau. He broke into the house in the middle of the night, but seriously violated the federal law. The widow ignored Tony's broken mouth, but put away her pistol. Mr. Stark, you are in danger. We were ordered to come here to protect you. Tony was not polite. He didn't give the other party a good look at all, and said sarcastically, "Then you are late." Seeing that the situation was still under control, Sky next to the widow asked in a low voice, "Who did it?" Pepper didn't let Tony continue to talk, but looked worried. "It's Obadiah. He seems to have snatched something from Tony's laboratory." "Are you guys from the Federation who were ordered to protect Tony? Did you intercept Obadiah just now?" The widow shook her head. "We didn't meet Obadiah. He should be picked up by someone." The widow looked at the injured Tony solemnly and suggested, "Mr. Stark, your current situation is very dangerous. According to our information, you are being targeted. You'd better listen to our arrangement and move to a safe place." After Tony heard the proposal, he rejected it without thinking. "I don't trust you. I received a warning today that Obadiah might do some bad things, but I didn't expect him to come to sneak attack. Hell knew he should have been disqualified as a visitor." Hearing Tony's words, the widow seemed to think of something and asked, "Who gave you the warning?" "Mr. Stark, is it the Foundation?" "That's right, the Foundation gave me a warning today, but I didn't expect Obadiah to act so fast. but your house is likely to be attacked again. According to intelligence, Obadiah should be in collusion with an organization that can seriously threaten the security of the Federation. Mr. Stark, I hope you can follow our arrangement and move to a reliable place. It's not safe here. Pepper on the side seemed very worried. Yes, Tony, you just follow their arrangements. It's not safe here now, and your condition is a bit poor. Tony seemed to think of something and said, I thought of a place. Your name is Natalie Rushman. You may call me Agent Natasha Romanoff, of the SHIELD Anomaly Containment Team. Okay, I'm going to make a call, and you should know who I'm calling. Foundation? Yes, I only trust the Foundation now. After all, they saved my life. I can't trust you now. Both Natasha Romanoff and Sky were silent. There was no way. The Foundation's prestige was here, coupled with a previous friendship. It was understandable for Tony Stark to trust the Foundation more. JARVIS, call me this number, 10xxxxxx. After a while, the phone seemed to connect. It's me, Tony Stark, buddy, everything you said has been verified. Obadiah really has a problem. Yes, I was attacked by Obadiah, and some important assets of the Stark Group were stolen. Can I ask for assistance from the Foundation? After a while Tony ended the call, looking relieved. One more thing, there are 2 agents from the What Attack and What Security Bureau here. So this Agent Natasha Romanoff, and this Sky. Oh, Agent Sky, the commander of the Foundation, Chen Feng, said that he would send support and that the Foundation would shelter me. He invited the 2 of you to the Foundation's base here for information exchange. I don't know if the 2 of you are asking for convenience or... I see. We'll follow Mr. Stark to the Foundation base. After speaking, Natasha Romanoff and Sky immediately gave Phil Coulson a communication. After learning that the Foundation intends to invite the Widow Sister and Sky to the Foundation base for information exchange, Phil Coulson agreed without thinking. At the moment SHIELD faced the Chaos Separatists who appeared out of nowhere. Since the appearance of 096, it seems that various abnormal events in the entire Federation have continued to occur. Even after the abnormal 096 shy person was contained, SHIELD was also involved in a large number of abnormal situations. Now it seems that it should all be the work of the Chaos Splitters, and the secret war between the 2 sides has not stopped. Even after the abnormal containment 096 the shy person was contained. In just a few days, SHIELD appeared in a situation of hundreds of casualties, which made SHIELD extremely anxious. At this time, to get a helping hand from the Foundation, Nick Fury and Phil Coulson, the Black Stewed Egg, can be said to be what they wished for. Not long after, the V-44X Blackfish transport plane dispatched by the Foundation and a group of Foundation task force members arrived at Stark's seaside cliff villa. The widows, Sky, Pepper, and the injured Tony boarded the V-44X Blackfish transport helicopter and flew to the Foundation base under the escort of the Foundation task force. Chapter 57 The Extremely Dangerous Containment 008, the distress signal from the Global Strategic Bureau. Welcome to the Foundation. You are safe, Tony and Miss Pepper. As soon as Pepper helped Tony out of the cabin, he saw Chen Feng and several officers from the Foundation greet him below. Chen Feng warmly bumped Tony's fists, seeing his bruised nose and swollen face, with a bandage on his head. He laughed and said, Dude, it's too miserable for you to look like this. Hearing this, Tony's face was filled with resentment, and veins burst out. It's not that old bastard Obadiah, come cheat, come sneak attack. Seeing this, Chen Feng comforted Tony and said, It's okay, stay at the Foundation's base, your safety is guaranteed. After reminiscing with Tony, Chen Feng greeted the Widow and Sky who had just got off the plane. Welcome to Foundation Paradise Island Base, Agents Natasha Romanoff and Agent Sky. Chen Feng's expression was very sincere, as if he wanted to sincerely help and guide SHIELD to solve the incident. It is also my honor to visit the Foundation's base. Thank you very much, Commander Chen Feng. After shaking hands with the Widow Sister and Sky, Chen Feng suggested, let's talk in another place. As he spoke, he took the lead in boarding a traffic vehicle inside the base. After everyone else got into the car, Chen Feng's expression was solemn, and he solemnly explained the cause of the incident. Tony, I know you are confused. What is going on with Obadiah? According to the Foundation's intelligence system, we have learned that Obadiah is suspected of joining the Chaos Separatist organization, which was previously formed by traitors from the Foundation. For some reason, renegade Chaos insurgents are carrying very dangerous containment. After hearing Chen Feng's words, Tony, the Widow Sister and Sky were all stunned. Only Pepper asked Tony what the containment was in a low voice, somewhat confused. After Tony finished explaining, Pepper looked worried. There is no way, the threat of the containment is too terrible, even the most powerful nuclear weapon of mankind. If the yield is not enough, I dare not say that it can cause at least millions of deaths. But the containment can do it, and these weird things don't make sense at all, and don't even obey the laws of physics. And the Chaos Separatist, who is a defector from the Foundation, doesn't look like an organization to be messed with, so Pepper still looks worried. Seeing this, Tony was relieved. It's okay, we will be safe in the Foundation base. While talking, they saw the FFR-41 Chen Feng and her 3 FRX-99 light night fighters parked on the tarmac for an instant, and then looked at the busy mobile task force at the airport, and instantly felt a lot more at ease. At this time, the widow who had been silent all this time spoke up. Mr. Chen Feng, has the Foundation confirmed that Obadiah is colluding with the Chaos Separatists? Chen Feng nodded affirmatively. That's right, I heard that SHIELD has had a lot of confrontations with Chaos Separatists recently. Do you need support from the Foundation? Chaos Separatists are formidable enemies, right? Hearing Chen Feng's earnest suggestion, Natasha Romanoff shook her head. Thank you for your kindness, but SHIELD can still deal with the Chaos Insurgents now. Does Mr. Chen Feng know the exact location of Obadiah and the Chaos Insurgents? The specific location has not been investigated yet, but recently we have detected a large number of suspicious electronic signals near Hell's Kitchen, and we discovered that Obadiah's private jet took off in an emergency not long ago, and the destination is New York. It is New York, the economic and cultural center of the Federation, and it has a huge influence. If the Chaos Separatists who have mastered the abnormal containment want to make a big disturbance there, that day all must be pierced. Thinking of this, the widow couldn't help asking with an anxious look in her eyes, Mr. Chen Feng, can you tell us what containment the Chaos Separatists have? How does it compare to the anomaly 096 that was previously contained by the Foundation? Hearing this question, Chen Feng pondered for a moment and said, according to the information we know, the anomalous containment held by the Chaos Separatists is likely to be 008, codenamed zombie virus. It is not the same type as 096, but the damage it can cause but much bigger than 096. Hearing this, both the widow's sister and Sky's expressions changed, and they became even more restless. Zombie virus? Does it mean that 008 can turn people into zombies like those in movies? Chen Feng smiled wryly. Actually, that was the effect of the original containment 008, and the current containment 008 seems to have produced some mutations. The infection ability of the current mutated 008 mother strain far exceeds that of the original version. If it is released, it can destroy a huge city in just a few days and turn it into a purgatory on Earth. The matter is serious. After hearing the exact news, Widow's sister and Sky became paralyzed. The state of mind was like a roller coaster, with ups and downs. It was originally an abnormal situation, but it might be upgraded into a doomsday crisis. And Tony and Pepper are also numb. How could it suddenly be the end of the world? But before they calmed down, they saw Chen Feng's adjutant, Miss 2B, hurrying over with a pad. Commander, we received a distress signal from an agent of the New York Global Strategic Bureau, and finally locked the location in Hell's Kitchen. Several people looked at each other. Hell's Kitchen? Isn't that where the abnormal signal was detected? A distress signal from the Global Strategic Bureau? Although Chen Feng and the Foundation now have the name of the National Strategic Security Bureau, the Foundation has not been in contact with the National Strategic Security Bureau until now. Seeing this, Chen Feng did not hesitate, looked at the widow's sister and Sky decisively, and said, Agents Natasha Romanoff and Agent Sky, I will send Foundation agents to go to Hell's Kitchen with you to investigate the truth. Unfortunately, I thought I could show you around the base. It's okay, Mr. Chen Feng, the situation is urgent. Please help us arrange transportation. Miss 2B, please arrange transportation for them, and let Colonel Hans send a mobile task force to investigate the incident. As you order, Commander. After Chen Feng finished his orders, he looked at the widow's sister and Sky with a regretful face and said apologetically, Then you are welcome to visit us next time. The Foundation will continue to pay attention to this matter, and we can provide information support to SHIELD at any time. Chapter 58 Foundation is ruling in darkness. Global outcry. Sister Widow and Sky are sitting on a V-44X Blackfish transport plane. Compared with the transport plane they took before, Blackfish is much better in all aspects. More spacious cabin, relatively comfortable seats, smoother flight stability, faster speed. This time, the Widow and Sky will cooperate with a team of mobile task force members to investigate the distress signal sent by the agent in the whole territory. Vera, a female intelligence officer of the Foundation, handed a tablet to the Widow and Sky. The intelligence department of the Foundation discovered the distress signal sent by the agent in the whole territory not long ago. We discovered through the internal network of the Global Strategy Bureau that their goal is to investigate a recent case of an unusual homeless disappearance in Hell's Kitchen. However, this team codenamed Mole sent out this distress video not long ago. As he spoke, the intelligence officer clicked on the tablet. A video appeared on the tablet, and an agent who looked seriously injured looked at the screen in despair and said in a low voice, This is the Mole Squad. We were attacked by a large number of unknown armed men in the number 5 target building in Hell's Kitchen. There are a lot of signs of biochemical experiments left here. They are about to find this place. Our ammunition is about to run out. Please send reinforcements as soon as possible. A voice overcame. Damn, they are about to break through the line of defense. What kind of monster is that? Fire. There was a burst of gunfire. What is this? Using a grenade. Accompanied by a few screams, the picture was interrupted. Looking at the interrupted picture, the widow's sister and Sky fell into deep thought. It seems that the people of the Global Strategic Bureau have encountered something. Is it a containment object? This possibility is not ruled out. Miss Vera, the intelligence officer, continued to narrate the briefing. We still have 40 minutes to arrive in New York, and then we will wait. I have received a text message. Turn on the web. Check out the most popular YouTube videos. Intelligence officer Vera clicked on YouTube full of doubts, and saw that a video had nearly 100 million views and nearly hundreds of thousands of comments in just 1 hour. Vera clicked the play button, and saw an ancestral underworld filter, and a masked man wearing a cloak appeared in front of the screen. Federal citizens and ordinary people around the world. The agents of the Global Strategic Bureau controlled by the Abnormal Control Foundation are secretly ruling the world. They're controlling you with your phone calls, your emails, your internet browsing data, your life history, your bills. This mysterious agency controlled by the Federation controls cameras and electronic equipment all over the world, and controls the satellite network to monitor everyone. Among us, maybe their agents are hiding. Countless agents of the Global Strategic Bureau are lurking around you in various identities, silently controlling this country and even the whole world. They control everything, eliminate dissidents, and eradicate all existences that threaten their rule. They hold unimaginable supernatural power, science and technology and resources to maintain this evil underground empire, but their rule is coming to an end. Hundreds of thousands of SCS federal agents are maintaining their tyranny. However, the terrible bondage will not hinder the yearning for freedom, and we will end their evil tyranny. In the screen, there are countless scenes of the agents of the Global Strategic Bureau in action, as well as various shots of executing enemies in dark corners. Accompanied by the narration of the masked man, the scene is extremely shocking. After all, what is the existence of the federal government? The people of the Federation naturally know it best, and so do people all over the world. Hearing the existence of such a terrible secret agency that surpassed Phobol and the CIA, it instantly detonated the federal government's network, and even the whole world was in an uproar at the moment. The people of the Federation don't trust the Federation ZF very much. After all, they have done too many dirty things in the past. After at the moment's Foundation and the Global Strategic Bureau were exposed, the barrage and screens were almost one-sided. The damn Federation is really using secret agent rule to maintain their evil rule. I thought this was a lighthouse. Who knows that like Shannon, it is ruled by evil. We want freedom. The Foundation's evil reign must end. Where are those superheroes? Where's Iron Man? Go kill the Foundation. Upstairs, maybe Iron Man is with the Foundation. It's terrible. Aren't ordinary people like insects in front of such a terrifying behemoth like the Foundation? There are so many missing persons in the Federation every year, so they are all secretly executed by the Foundation, right? Pick up your guns and take to the streets to protest. As long as we unite, we can destroy the evil rule of the Foundation. Old Texas agrees. The existence of the Foundation violates the free spirit of the Federation. Looking at the negative comments one after another, Miss Intelligence Officer Vieira's face was so gloomy that water dripped out. The widow's sister and Sky looked at each other in blank dismay. What organization is exposing the Foundation? Is it a chaos splitter? Miss Vieira, don't worry, this must be a terrible conspiracy against the Foundation. Maybe the chaos separatists are unwilling to make a comeback after the last failure. Let's not mess up the headquarters of the Foundation. The Foundation was exposed by the 12 Round Table Council and Chaos Splitters, and gain 100,000 rumor points. Listening to the system's prompt, Chen happily beamed. Ophelia leaned on Chen Feng's shoulder to watch the video, and joked, the Foundation has been splashed with dirty water and exposed to the public's attention, but you look happy instead? Chen Feng didn't care about this and said, the old-fashioned underworld filter gameplay, and the unwarranted dirty water, DSK. But this camera is very handsome. It really looks like an evil organization that rules the world. Very nice. You don't care at all? How can a real strong person care about the thoughts of insects? That might still be a good thing. It seems that everything is under your control. Chen Feng smiled mysteriously, in the face of absolute power. These little tricks are meaningless. Human civilization needs the Foundation as a shield to protect them. Once this shield is lost, people will understand its preciousness. Chapter 59 Gwen and Alauga, the eve of the eruption. Gwen Stacy was carrying a pink girly school bag and a notebook in her hand as she followed the long queue of students. This is the Biological Research Institute of Imperial State University, which is jointly invested by the Umbrella Company and the Austrian biopharmaceutical company under the Austrian Group. Therefore, both the scale and the level of confidentiality are extremely high. Being able to visit here is a rare practical opportunity for high school students of Midtown Science High School, an affiliated school of Empire State University. When Gwen and her classmates visited a kind of silver spider, she suddenly saw the nerdy classmate beside her who was carefully writing a report. Peter Parker suddenly screamed. Seeing this, the kind-hearted Gwen stepped forward and asked, "Student Peter, what's wrong with you?" "I'm fine, I seem to have been bitten by something." As soon as the words fell, Gwen suddenly saw a silver-white little Spider-Man that looked like a ghost jumping into her hand, and the girl couldn't help but screamed in fright. Suddenly, the team became chaotic. Gwen only felt a heart-wrenching pain coming from the back of her right hand. She glanced at the back of her right hand that suddenly became red and swollen, tears streaming down her face. What happened here? A melodious and crisp female voice came, and Gwen looked up, only to see a female researcher wearing red-rimmed glasses and a white coat walking over. It seems that classmate Gwen was bitten by something. Somehow, Peter didn't say anything about what seemed to be biting himself too. The female researcher looked at Gwen and said, "Well, this student, the back of your hand is very red and swollen. Maybe you need to check it. I'll take you to the infirmary to have a look." After speaking, Gwen couldn't help but took her hand and walked to the infirmary. Not long after, Gwen, who was brought to the infirmary, couldn't help feeling a little nervous and anxious, because the pain on the back of her hand continued and the inflammation didn't subside. As if seeing Gwen's nervousness, the female researcher gave a sigh of relief. "It's not a big problem. There are some anti-inflammatory drugs here. Just apply some topical antibiotics and it will be fine. Don't be nervous. You can call me Dr. Alauga. What's your name?" "Gwen. Gwen Stacy." "Okay, Gwen, you take this anti-inflammatory drug first." Gwen didn't think too much, picked up the anti-inflammatory medicine that Alauga handed over, and swallowed it, only feeling a little groggy in the head. "I feel dizzy. Am I okay?" "Dr. Alauga." "It's okay, it's normal." Alauga raised the corners of her mouth slightly, and then secretly put a small white box containing an injection into Gwen's school bag. Then, she took another look at the injection left on her body and breathed a sigh of relief. Then she carefully looked at Gwen's student ID card, Midtown High School of Science and Technology, class of the second year of high school. After writing down the information on the student ID card, Alauga took a deep look at the school bag. After about 15 minutes, Gwen gradually woke up from the groggy state. As soon as Gwen opened her eyes, she saw Alauga's pretty face, and saw this charming big sister touching her forehead with some concern, and asked softly, "How do you feel about your body?" "I was worried that you might be bitten by some bad insects and ants, which would cause severe inflammation, so I gave you special medicine." Gwen nodded in a daze. "I feel better, Dr. Alauga." "You can leave after a short rest. Your visit is coming to an end." "Thank you, Dr. Alauga. I'm much better now." 30 minutes later, Alauga watched Gwen return to the visiting line. She quickly took off her white coat, and then changed into a black hoodie and pleated skirt. After that, she took off her glasses and tied up her long black and red hair. "We must expose them this time." Alauga took a deep breath, and then made a phone call. "I'm Kay, meet at the agreed place." After finishing speaking, Alauga hurriedly left the infirmary and walked outside the research institute. It's just that she didn't notice that she had just left the institute, and all her actions were being monitored. 15 minutes later, in a dark alley near Empire State University, Alauga arrived at the agreed place, but there was no one in sight. There was a warning sign in her heart, and she saw two figures hidden in the shadows. "Dr. Alauga, I think you should know the fate of betraying us. You did a stupid thing." HMPH, any conscientious researcher will make such a choice after seeing everything you have done. "Conscience?" "Dr. Alauga, you have participated in every experiment, and the blood on your hands is no less than mine. That's why I want to atone." "What are you trying to do?" "Where is Miss Catherine the reporter?" "What have you done to her?" "You'll be with her soon, Ellie Weatherbow." After speaking, flames suddenly appeared in the pocket of the man in black. In just 10 seconds, two Lock 18 pistols poured 36 bullets at poor Dr. Alauga. It's just that no one noticed that a bullet pierced through the potion in her pocket. The pupils of Alauga, who was lying in a pool of blood, gradually dilated, and her eyes widened with blurred vision, looking at the pair of ruthless eyes in front of her, and blood seeped out from the corner of her mouth. Target cleared, ready to erase other insiders. Drag her to the laboratory morgue and dispose of it. TSK, it's a pity that such a beautiful girl did a stupid thing. I don't understand what these researchers are thinking. She is obviously involved in every step. Who knows what she's thinking? What the hell is this? Shit, looks like the chick came out with something and got hit by a bullet. Damn, there was a spill. Don't bother. Just pretend you don't know. If the higher-ups know that this kind of basket was exposed, we will be in trouble. Let the cleaners come over and disinfect it with disinfectant, and it will not leave any traces. Chapter 60 Infinite Corn, The Birth of the Black Light Queen. A cold female corpse was pushed by a cart, with pale skin, a pretty face and a blood-stained white shirt. Originally black and red hair of different colors, at the moment turned into red and white, and matched with that pale face, like a sleeping vampire queen. A cleaner in protective clothing was pushing the cart. He didn't know if it was his illusion. He always felt that the corpse in front of him seemed to move. "Hey, is the air conditioner turned on too low? It's so f***ing cold." "It's always been this temperature." The cleaner pushed the cart cursingly, and was about to throw her on the dissection table. At this moment, he clearly saw that the corpse moved. "Damn, this corpse moved a bit." "What are you yelling about? This bitch has been punched dozens of holes by American Jew. Is it because you are dazzled?" The companion walked over as he spoke, and then the companion saw the female corpse's eyelashes tremble slightly, and a pair of wine-red eyes were looking at him blankly. Gift crab. She's alive? Eliza looked blankly at the two cleaners in front of her who were dressed like soldiers of the Chemical Defense Force, and the next second she saw one of them tremblingly pulling out a pistol. When the muzzle of the black hole was pointed at her, Eliza felt her mind was blank, and then she subconsciously raised her right hand, and easily cut off the opponent's neck. Another cleaner pissed in fright, constantly swearing, then raised his gun and shot at Eliza crazily, but something terrible happened. He emptied a magazine, and all the bullets hit the dead woman accurately, but she seemed to be fine. I saw Eliza's right hand pressed against his head, and immediately after, he felt as if he was melting. He and the clothes on him, even the guns, turned into a flesh-like liquid, and then were completely absorbed by Eliza. At this moment, Eliza saw the memory of this man. Dispose of today's female corpse. Be careful that there may be leaks. Remember to wear protective clothing. Then I will leave this place to you. We are going back to return. Eliza got up from the dissecting table, staggered to find the passage, and then she saw a blood-stained hoodie beside her. In the blank brain, a trace of the original memory vaguely emerged. Gwen Stacy? I know this person. Maybe she knows who I am, Eliza muttered to herself, and then took out something from the hoodie. When several other cleaners saw Eliza standing here, immediately afterwards, the alarm sounded loudly, and along with the alarm, the armed guards protecting the processing facility rushed over immediately. However, they found that they seemed to have encountered a terrifying humanoid monster, whose fragile body contained terrifying power. Even if she doesn't know anything about fighting, she can rely on her strong physical fitness to smash a person to death with a single punch, and her figure is like a ghost. Although bullets can hurt her, once she is injured, she will be like the legend in the legend. Demons generally absorb those armed guards who are captured to recover from injuries. What's even more frightening is that as the red and black flesh and blood of the guards were absorbed one after another, she seemed to have absorbed the combat experience of these people. Not only is the movement sharper and the more skillful, but the combat power is also more terrifying. At this moment, more guards arrived, and Eliza did not choose to fight, but used both feet to escape. The heavy protective isolation door was closing, when a ghostly figure flashed out. Eliza came to the parking lot. A helicopter passed over Eliza's head, and then the searchlights made Eliza's eyes hurt. At this time, she actually lifted a car on the parking lot, and threw the car weighing several tons away like a helicopter in the air under the terrified eyes of the flight crew. Accompanied by a loud bang, batch after batch of elite soldiers wearing full armor and armored vehicles tried to block Eliza here. However, she just simply accelerated and ran, and then leapt over the high protective wall in the facility, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded soldiers. In the Manhattan neighborhood, a woman with red and white hair in a blood-stained shirt shuttles through the busy streets. The drivers who drove the vehicles were shocked to find that a beautiful woman was shuttling on the road with constant traffic, and her speed was even faster than those cars with a speed of 80 or 90 kilometers per hour. Gift crab. Is it 911? We found a woman walking on the road. She ran faster than cars. Please don't waste police resources, sir. Stop joking. However, after a while, the operator of the nipped police station was surprised to find that there were so many calls to the police, and it seemed that it was not a prank at all. Gwen Stacy was awakened by the screeching siren outside the window, and she came to the living room rubbing her sleepy eyes. I don't know if it's Gwen's illusion, but she always feels that her eyesight is much better than before. Mom, Dad, has he received another police mission? Hearing her daughter's interrogation, Gwen's mother, Helen, shrugged her shoulders with a helpless expression on her face. There seemed to be a lot of warning signs tonight. Are you feeling better? When Gwen heard her mother's greeting, she smiled like a good girl and nodded in response. Well, it's much better, I feel great. As soon as she finished speaking, she saw her father, George, open the door with a serious face, and made a worried proposal to Helen as he entered the door. Helen, ask Gwen to take a leave of absence from the school tomorrow. You will stay in the countryside for a few days. I received news that Manhattan seems to be on lockdown. It seems that something serious has happened. Chapter 61 The Birth of the Female Spider-Man. Find Catherine. In the classroom of Midtown Science High School, Gwen Stacy was absent-mindedly listening to the teacher's lecture. Ever since visiting the science lab at Empire State University yesterday, Gwen Stacy has been feeling like something is wrong. She found that her 5 senses had become extremely sharp. Not only her strength increased greatly, but also her movements were so flexible and sharp that she was not like a normal person. Physical changes are one thing, and another is the conversation between her father, George Stacy, and her mother, Helen Stacy. Although her parents' conversation was very low last night, she could hear it clearly even outside. Gwen, who lives in Queens, heard that there might be chaos in the city. She is still a high school student, and Gwen, who has not seen much in the world, seems a little uneasy. Peter Parker is one of Gwen's friends in school, because Peter Parker likes Gwen's best friend, Mary Jane, so the two met at yesterday's spider exhibit at Empire State University of Technology. Gwen also saw that Peter Parker was bitten by a spider, but Peter didn't admit it. Today Gwen wanted to talk to Peter Parker about this matter several times, but she never had the chance. Gwen stayed restless until the school bell rang and the teacher announced the end of Get Out of Class. Amidst the cheers of the students, Gwen looked at Peter Parker, who was packing his school bag and was about to leave. Hesitation for a while, but finally did not stop him. She silently packed the books and put them back into the bag. At this moment, she suddenly felt something in the middle of the bag. It is a rectangular metal sealed box, which looks very high-tech, and has a fingerprint lock on it. Who would put it in my school bag? Gwen was full of doubts, but she thought of her parents' instructions. Today, her mother Helen will pick her up from school, and then ask the teacher for a few days off to go back to her hometown in the countryside. So Gwen didn't think much about it, and temporarily ignored the weird metal box, but left the school with her school bag on her back. Gwen was standing by the road beside the school gate waiting for her mother Helen as usual. At this moment, a strange new BMW M3 stopped in front of her and opened the door. A familiar voice from the cold big sister came, "Get in the car." "Dr. Aliza, why are you?" The person sitting in the car was yesterday's Dr. Aliza, but she looked very strange, and for some reason, her hair had turned into snow white and red hair of different colors intertwined. And she was wearing a sweater with a black hood, looking mysterious. Gwen immediately became alert. "Sorry, I can't go with you, Dr. Aliza." Gwen looked vigilantly at the big sister, who was completely different from yesterday and looked like a bad woman. However, before she had time to be vigilant, Gwen suddenly saw several men in black with unfriendly expressions surrounding them. These guys are obviously holding a guy. No matter how they look like standard school shooters. "Stay still, little girl." At this time, Aliza gave her a wink. Facing the sudden turn, Gwen flipped into the car without hesitation for a second and slammed the door. Aliza kicked the accelerator and the M3 immediately ejected and started. At the moment gunshots rang out. High school students and parents after school, pedestrians screamed and fled in all directions. The scene was extremely chaotic. A few bullets hit the M3's rearview mirror and damaged the windshield, but Aliza drove the car calmly. In the sky, two mysterious black helicopters closely followed the M3, and one after another mysterious black MPV without license plate appeared on the road. At this time, Aliza braked and drifted, and the M3 drove into an alley along the way. "Get off." Aliza said that she got out of the car with Gwen. While talking, she took Gwen's hand and stepped on the wall of the high-rise building and ran up suddenly. "Let go of me, I can go by myself." Speaking of which, Gwen broke away from Aliza's somewhat surprised eyes, and actually climbed the tall building to the top of the building like Aliza. On the roof of the building, Gwen stared at Aliza. Two beauties, one big and one small, opened their mouths at the same time. "Do you know anything?" ? The two looked confused, and then Aliza looked at Gwen, who was also puzzled, and couldn't help but sighed while holding her forehead. "I lost part of my memory. I just remember that there seems to be something in your place." "So it's all your fault?" "Then the change in my body is also your fault?" Gwen emotionally took out the metal box from her school bag. Aliza covered her head in pain, and shook her head as if she couldn't remember anything. "I don't know either." As soon as the words fell, Aliza suddenly changed her expression and shouted, "Be careful." As they spoke, the two of them suddenly moved away, only to hear a loud bang, and the position where the two were just now was hit by a missile that exploded and blew up the platform into a mess. It was an AH-1Z gunship that fired the missile from a distance of about 700 or 800 meters. However, the flight crew stared dumbfounded at the two people who moved away and exclaimed, "Are these two still human?" While speaking, the falling Gwen subconsciously launched a ball of cobweb towards the opposite building, and then jumped high. Aliza floated and glided in the air like a bat, and then the two landed on the roof of a building opposite. The two looked at each other, sprinted like flying at high speed on the roof platform, and jumped out. Even the AH-1Z couldn't keep blocking them. On the platform of a safe old apartment, Gwen looked at Aliza with a complicated face. Now ... she seems to never be able to return to a normal life. Gwen kicked a soda can angrily. What should we do now?" "Look for a reporter named Catherine. She seems to have given me an address so that I can contact her." Gwen looked angrily at the bad woman who made her board the pirate ship, and snorted, "Let's go." "Go find the woman you mentioned named Catherine, and I want to return to a normal life." Aliza tilted her head, stared at the girl with wine-red eyes, and said softly, "Isn't it good to be a Superman?" "It's not bad, it's just that I'm not happy to be involved in the trouble you caused." A moment later, the backs of the two women jumped off the platform. Chapter 62 Whole Realm Agent, Always Be Loyal. Somewhere in Hell's Kitchen in Manhattan, the division has fallen into a safe house. "My patience is limited. How much backup do you have?" "And the deployment of SHD, abbreviation of the Global Strategic Bureau, please tell me." Accompanied by the faint smell of blood coming from the tip of her nose, Agent Catherine opened her eyes with difficulty. What caught my eye was my companion, Agent codenamed Sea Otter. This once delicate and cute Chinese girl with twin ponytails and two dimples in her smile. At the moment's beautiful face has become bruised and swollen, and her body is even more ragged and bloodstained. The sea otter was grabbed by her hair, but she looked very weak. Even her voice was extremely weak, but her eyes were as determined as fire. Don't try to get any information from me. Are you Chinese? There is an old saying in your country that a man who knows the current affairs is a good man. I don't want to see you, a young girl with delicate skin and tender flesh, suffer from flesh and blood, so you should be honest. In an awkward Yingzhou style, this damned interrogator is actually of the blood of a child. New and old hatred. Miss Sea Otter stared at him firmly, and categorically refused. No way, Yoxi, I just admire tough guys, but I want to see how tough you really are. As he spoke, he took out the dagger, and raised Miss Sea Otter's white and scarred right hand. If you don't answer the information again, I'll chop off your fingers one by one. You better think clearly. The girl's contemptuous smile answered him. Very good. You pissed me off. After that, he raised the knife and dropped his hand, and with a scream from the agent Sea Otter, a bloody finger fell to the ground. Catherine looked at her companion who was being tortured inhumanely, but her mouth was covered but she couldn't say anything. I just listened to the tragic wailing for nearly half an hour. The interrogators tried their best, but this little agent, who looked delicate and naive, turned out to be a tough one, and all the fingers of his hands were chopped off one by one. Although he was interrogating, he only felt fear. Even people from Phobol, KGB, and CIA had already confessed. He mentioned the weak Sea Otter, gave the female agent a hoarse voice fiercely, and interrogated for the last time. Last chance. Have no idea. Bah. The Sea Otter actually spat a mouthful of blood onto the interrogator's face. The expression on the interrogator's face was still grim. He wiped and licked the blood on his face, and then showed a cruel grin. The blood-stained cold dagger touched the white neck, accompanied by two muffled groans. Miss Sea Otter's eyes widened, and then her pupils began to slack, and her age stopped at 20 years old forever. Catherine looked at Miss Sea Otter lying in a pool of blood with tearing eyes, and the judge walked in front of her with her blood and a hideous expression on her face. At this moment, her breathing became heavy. The cloth strip that blocked Catherine's agent's mouth was taken out. It's your turn. Tell the information. You can live. Catherine felt her heart beat faster, but she was silent, just staring at the other party with indignant and cold eyes, without saying a word. Damn, why are they all like this? Bastard. Look at NM. Stinky bitch. The interrogator felt that he was going crazy. He grabbed the dagger angrily and grabbed Catherine's head. The cold dagger pierced into the beautiful eyes in an instant, and the scream like a nightingale surrounded the room. He kicked Catherine away, then pulled the pistol from the holster and moved his finger to the trigger. It's just that the cruel interrogator didn't notice at all that the room at the moment had already become extremely silent, and his companion had already disappeared. A slender palm held his gunner down. A lazy and gentle female voice sounded. Sure enough, I knew you might still be alive. The interrogator wanted to raise his hand, but was horrified to find that he couldn't lift it at all, and the slender palm was getting harder and harder, and he heard the sound of his own bones breaking. A woman with a gentle but creepy smile was staring at herself with those ruby-like eyes. The interrogator wanted to scream, but found that he was melting into a pool of blood, and he couldn't even scream. A girl with blonde short hair covered her mouth and walked to Catherine's side with an expression of discomfort on her face. She swallowed nervously, and asked tremblingly, Are you okay? Aliga took the strap and walked to Catherine, helped her up, and covered her blind eyes that were seeping blood. Then she unceremoniously asked in a light tone, Catherine, I have lost part of my memory. I have brought the things. Please tell me the whole thing. Seeing this, Gwen was so kind that she couldn't help but grabbed Aliga's collar and yelled, Hunting. She's already like this. She needs treatment, and she is not suitable for any interrogation at this time. Aliga pushed her hand away coldly. We have no time to waste. When the two were at a stalemate, Catherine's weak voice came. She is right. There is no time to waste. I am an agent of the Global Strategy Bureau, and I am ordered to contact you to get the Blacklight virus jointly developed by the Umbrella Company and the Black Watch organization. According to our intelligence, Black Watch and the Chaos Separatist organization that controls Umbrella Corporation plan to conduct brutal biochemical experiments in the federal territory. No one knows what they plan to do. For this reason, the Global Strategy Bureau set up an investigation team, and I am one of the investigators. Our operation failed. There was a mutiny within the Global Strategic Bureau. I lost contact with the response team Mole. Unfortunately, my companions and I were captured. Not long ago, I got a terrible news. The Umbrella seems to be planning a terrible action, which is related to the life and death of the entire Federation and even hundreds of millions of people in the entire human race. Hearing that, Aliga breathed a sigh of relief. She pondered for a moment, then whispered, So, what are you going to do? If possible, escort me to the Redstone Fort military base on number 8 road in the suburbs to report. Can you still move? No problem. Catherine covered her face with a bandage, walked slowly to Miss Sea Otter's body, bent down, closed her eyes, and took off the nameplate of the agent. Catherine's lips trembled, and she whispered, Rest in peace, Agent Sea Otter. The Global Strategy Bureau remembers your loyalty. Chapter 63 SHIELD. Winter is approaching. Full ability turn the tide. Washington, D.C. SHIELD base. Nick Fury. Pierce, and Phil Coulson and other SHIELD executives are looking at the dignified Natasha Romanoff on the screen. Director Nick, according to the information we received from the surviving agents of the Global Strategic Security Bureau, the Chaos Separatists are suspected to be planning to use biochemical viruses to brew a major disaster. The Redstone Fort base where we are located is suspected to have been infected by man-made virus releases on the open day, and a large number of National Guard soldiers have suffered from unknown infections. These soldiers all suffered from vomiting, fever, and unconsciousness. The hospitals on the base were overcrowded, and the National Guard stationed here almost lost their combat effectiveness. Please make a decision early, the situation is getting worse. After listening to the Widow Sister's report, Nick Fury rubbed his bald head with a headache, and then said to the Widow Sister, "Thank you for your information, Detective Natasha Romanoff. You still need to continue the investigation. I will let Phil Coulson bring people from the anomaly handling team to give you reinforcements. Let's do it first." After speaking, Nick Fury closed the communication. Then the director of SHIELD glanced at the two fidgeting subordinates, and said, "So this is the status quo. Winter is coming. Maybe this terrible crisis will destroy the entire Federation. We must not allow the Federation to be destroyed. Chaos insurgency destroys." Phil Coulson wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, and said bravely, "But Director Nick, the situation in various places is very unstable now. According to the information we have received, a flu has almost swept through several states in just a few days. At least hundreds of thousands of people have been infected." Pierce also nodded and added, "The entire SHIELD has been mobilized. Director Nick, our manpower is limited, and we may not be able to handle this crisis without using some special backup resources. Do you want to use your cards?" Nick Fury thought hard, hesitated for a while, but he decisively rejected Pierce's proposal. "Now is not the time, let's think of a way." At this time, Phil Coulson cautiously suggested, how about cooperating with the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation to tide over the difficulties?" "What? Cooperate with the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation to tide over the difficulties together? How?" When the words came to his lips, Nick Fury changed his words. "This is a good idea." Thinking of this, Nick Fury's eyes brightened. Now is obviously not the time to use the whole cards. If we can reach a cooperation with the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation to tide over this crisis together, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was feasible. Although SHIELD was vigilant towards the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation, it was different now. No matter what, the Foundation is one of the departments of the Federation. At least for now, it is a law-abiding organization. The Foundation and SHIELD can reach a consensus on law-abiding. Now facing the common enemy of chaos splitters, Nick Fury believes that the other party can still reach a consensus. Thinking of this, Nick Fury stopped hesitation and nodded to Phil Coulson. "That's a good idea. Then I'll leave it to you, Phil Coulson, to contact the Foundation." Pierce's eyes flickered at the side, and he wanted to interrupt several times. But Nick Fury did it when he thought of it, and acted vigorously. In the end, Pierce seems to think that this chaotic situation is suitable for Hydra to fish in troubled waters. If a cooperation with the Foundation can be reached, it is also good news for Hydra. Hydra can also use this opportunity to find out the reality of some foundations, and benefit from the plans of the Chaos Separatists. Thinking of this, Pierce echoed in agreement. The director is brilliant. At this time, Nick Fury felt that it was not too late, so he immediately said to Phil Coulson, "Phil Coulson, if possible, find a way to meet with the Foundation Commander Chen Feng, and discuss cooperation matters on behalf of SHIELD. It's not too late, you go as soon as possible." Thinking of this, Phil Coulson said helplessly, "Sir, what about Natasha Romanoff? Didn't you ask me to bring reinforcements there?" Nick Fury waved his hand directly, let the people from the anomalous containment force go there first. Let Natasha Romanoff command. Your first task is to contact the Foundation first. Seeing that the boss said so, Phil Coulson nodded and agreed. "No problem, I'll do it right away." After watching Phil Coulson leave, only Nick Fury and Assistant Pierce were left in the office. Nick Fury suddenly asked, "Pierce, what do you think of this crisis?" Pierce felt his heart skip a beat, and after a while he said without changing his face, "I think this is a good opportunity." "Oh? I would like to hear more about it." "Isn't this crisis an opportunity for SHIELD to grow?" Pierce talked eloquently. "Whether it is SHIELD or the Foundation, the Federation has not really fully delegated power to these powerful organizations, and checks and balances still exist. Only by making the Federation realize that in the face of these crises, we must rely on us, can we grow from it." Nick Fury laughed. "That's right. The Hound can only be useful in troubled times. Otherwise the Federation would not realize our importance at all. This universe is too dangerous. If there is no way of SHIELD, it will be a disaster for the Earth and human beings. Unless it is a last resort, the reserve force must not be used at the moment of survival of the race. It's time for the Avengers plan. With winter approaching, who will turn the tide and have the last laugh? Chapter 64 Special Doomsday Mission. It doesn't matter, the task force is ready. Ask for the first order. Villa Intelligence Officer, your certification has passed and you can pass. After the inspection, 2 guards on guard let her pass through the checkpoint of the headquarters. The Vero Intelligence Officer was guided down to the Commander-in-Chief's office, which symbolizes the Foundation's supreme power. After a while, an assistant female officer came out. You can go in, remember the meeting time is only 20 minutes. Vera nodded anxiously and said softly, okay, I understand. Walking into the office, I saw Chen Feng who was looking down at the report, and Miss 2B who was standing behind him as an adjutant and security officer. There is also a beautiful lady in a green cheongsam in the office, sitting elegantly on a guest seat, holding a cup of black tea and sipping. Vera raised her head and shouted in a crisp voice, report. Chen Feng put down the document in hand, looked up and down the person with majestic eyes, and then said in a deep voice, to make a long story short, Villa Intelligence Officer, report the information. Vera had to raise her voice. Yes, sir. Then the female intelligence officer reported carefully in her crisp voice. We investigated Hell's Kitchen with Agent Natasha Romanoff of SHIELD and Agent Sky, based on the investigation of the Advanced Intelligence Team. We rescued the agent team of the Global Strategic Bureau, the Mole Team, which was besieged by unknown organizations. After contacting the Mole Team, I learned that not long ago, a betrayal May 23 incident occurred in a research institute under the Black Watch, a secret military organization of the Federation. What he did was in contact with the National Strategic Bureau. But the Catherine team sent out by the Global Strategic Bureau is suspected to have been wiped out, and the entire team has never heard from it. In order to investigate the specific situation, the Global Strategy Bureau dispatched a Mole team. But the rescue mission failed, and the target location has been cleaned up. Our country has obtained it. 17. After the intelligence team went to a branch of the Global Strategic Bureau located in the Redstone Fort military base, we discovered that the Redstone Fort military base was attacked by an unknown virus during the opening day. A large number of military personnel have been injured and sick. I suspect that they may have been attacked by the T-virus or similar viruses. I have conducted a careful analysis of the intelligence and determined that it is likely that the Chaos Separatists are preparing a large-scale offensive by using the virus obtained by researching Containment 008. Hearing this, the corners of Chen Feng's mouth rose, and he glanced at her approvingly and said, Miss Vera, your job is very good, and the facts are almost as you guessed. The Foundation recently discovered an infected banknote. It was a $100 bill, and it was infected with a large number of new viruses that were suspected to be variants of the T-virus. The base's intelligence officer analyzed that it was probably done by another branch of the Chaos Separatists, but what I didn't expect was that the military organization Black Watch was also linked to the Chaos Separatists. I have concluded that the military organization Black Watch has been controlled by the Council of the 12 Round Tables. Having said that, Chen Feng laughed as if he had already guessed something. If I'm not mistaken, the Council of the 12 Round Tables wants to create a biohazard that sweeps the entire Federation through the branches of Black Watch and Chaos Insurgents. Ophelia, who was listening with gusto, put down the ceramic teacup, raised her feet, and her eyes fluttered. Then, Commander, do you think they want to subvert the White Eagle Federation government through this? No, on the contrary, I think they want to use 008 to create a biohazard to control the entire Federation, and then control the Federation to achieve the goal of controlling human civilization. Ophelia changed her sitting position when she heard the words. So what is the commander going to do? I don't think they have the ability to control the virus made with the 008 substrain in the containment, especially through the stupid way of spreading the virus, although they can indeed use this to obtain special authorization to forcibly take over any infected areas. Speaking of this, Ophelia was in high spirits, as if she saw the next doomsday crisis that would determine the control of the Union. But they ignore that once the infection gets out of control, they will get nothing but a piece of wasteland. But how does your Lord Commander plan to solve this crisis? This biochemical crisis is doomed to erupt. It is an opportunity for them, so why not an opportunity for us? Chen Feng's eyes deepened, and his eyes were firm. Don't forget the original intention of the establishment of the Global Strategy Bureau. The Global Strategic Bureau was established to fight against a biochemical crisis that may sweep the entire Federation, or even the world, and even conducted a large-scale exercise across the Federation for this purpose. This is the top secret of the Global Strategic Bureau, and no one knows about it except the previous directors. Once a crisis breaks out, I can logically wake up the sleeping phoenix of the Global Strategic Bureau. Both Vera and Ophelia, the top secret intelligence officer, were stunned to hear this. They never thought that the Global Strategic Bureau was created for this purpose, to resist a biochemical crisis that might sweep the entire Federation, or even the world, and create a huge Global Strategic Bureau for this. It turns out that this is the Foundation. Even if it is to contain 008 that is out of control, it is willing to pay an incalculable amount of manpower and material resources, even decades of investment. When Chen Feng saw the top secret of the Global Strategic Bureau through the system, he couldn't help being shocked, as expected of someone from the Foundation. In times of peace, The agents of the whole territory are ordinary people living beside you and me. Once something happens, after activating Order Number 51, these agents of the whole territory will immediately become the most elite fighters. They will work hard to ensure the maintenance of the city's order, and save human civilization from fire and water. Even someone who knows the Foundation better, even the intelligence officer of the Foundation, Vera, is shocked that the Foundation is still hiding such a plan. The Foundation, worthy of the light of human reason, who would devote decades to illusory thing. The agents of the Global Strategy Bureau have always been unknown, dedicated to their duties, and loyal to human beings. In a few decades, how many agents are getting old? How many generations have been changed? Even on the day when they are not drafted for the rest of their lives, they will fight for all the good things in the world. Only the Foundation can cultivate such a group of people in this self-interested federation, a group of eternally loyal watchmen, watching over the peace of all mankind. If it was just this evil federation, maybe it still existed in the past, but it is absolutely impossible to produce a group of such idealists now. Just by seeing this crisis, one can imagine how vicious the Chaos Separatist branch and the Council of the 12 Round Tables are. They actually got the virus on USD. The more modern the human civilization system becomes, the more complex it becomes. Banknotes have not been completely abandoned until today, and they are one of the most widely circulated means. The virus infected the banknotes. It is conceivable that this is almost the most fatal blow to the White Eagle Federation. Just imagine, hot money suddenly turned into a horrible demon that wants your life. Banknotes are not only widely circulated, but also circulated very quickly, which can easily create a large number of sources of infection. What's even more frightening is that the virus they use seems to have an incubation period. After Chen Feng got the sample, he quickly sent it to Dr. Wilhelm for research, and Dr. Wilhelm came to the conclusion after the research. This zombie virus, similar to T-virus, has an incubation period of at least 2 to 3 days. Due to the existence of the incubation period, this is more conducive to the spread of the zombie virus. After all, it does not mutate into a zombie immediately. With an incubation period of 2 to 3 days, banknotes might even be circulated from the White Eagle Federation to all parts of the world. From this point, it can be seen that the 12 Round Table Council has a great appetite and is insane. Even knowing that this may cause tens of millions of deaths and injuries, or even cause a large-scale loss of control, the entire Terra Blue Star may have to be sent. Chen Feng couldn't help thinking about a parallel branch world of the American comics World Zero. Zombies Marvel World. In that world, a vote of superheroes, and even those mutants are all infected and turned into zombies. Even these zombified superheroes ran to the universe in pursuit of flesh and blood. Thinking of this scene, Chen Feng's scalp is a little numb. If he doesn't care about it, maybe this world will develop into a situation like that of the American comics universe. And at the moment he has also received the task of the system. Ding! A special doomsday task has been triggered to contain the out-of-control Containment 008 zombie virus substrain. Because the host triggers a special doomsday task for the first time, the Foundation will send reinforcements. A total of $200 from the Euroa troops are on standby. Mobile Task Force Nine-Tailed Fox, Combined Students. Respected Commander, please save the human world and avoid entering the world line of the zombie American comics universe. Didn't expect there to be systematic reinforcements. Chen Feng, who already had the confidence and strength to control Resident Evil, now has even more confidence at the moment. Both Vera and Ophelia have recovered from the shock. Thinking of the Foundation's decades-long watch for a rainy day, and then thinking of the extremely complicated situation now, Vera said with some concern, Commander, although the Foundation has made sufficient preparations for this, the unknown virus of widowhood may have spread to the Emperor's area during this period of time. Even if we put in the vaccine serum now, it may not be able to control the situation. Once they mutate, the consequences will be unimaginable, and even the entire human race may suffer catastrophe. The Council of the 12 Round Tables is simply a group of lunatics, an existence that is absolutely uncontrollable by human power. If the situation is out of control, do we need to make preparations to preserve the human fire? Hearing Vera's worry, Chen Feng waved his hands and said lightly, it won't be the end. Don't worry, it doesn't matter even if the end is, I will take action. Then Chen Feng issued new instructions and said, Miss Vera, the intelligence officer, now you set off on the transport plane immediately. I have arranged for personnel to load a batch of serum vaccines, and you will lead an advance team to bring the serum and supplies to the Redstone Fort military base. Subsequently, there will be several batches of transport crews delivering the serum vaccines to the agencies of the Strategic Bureau across the territory. The Mobile Task Force Hell paratroopers, as well as Hammerfall, and the Nine-Tailed Fox Mobile Task Force dispatched by the Foundation headquarters have all entered a 24-hour Battle 1.1 standby state. Then he looked at Ophelia again, and issued orders with a calm demeanor. Mrs. Ophelia, you can start contacting your people. You will have a batch of new equipment and new support. It's also time to try the power of the T-103X Tyrant transformed by the Blood Orchid. Aren't the Council of the 12 Round Tables and the Chaos Separatists going to fight a propaganda war with us? Speaking of this, Chen Feng had a mocking smile on his face. Presenting the Foundation as a villain who controls the world behind the scenes makes the public wary of the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation. 11. They think they can fool everyone and run the world. 11. But it's time to show them the power of the Foundation. Mrs. Ophelia, I will launch a propaganda offensive to counterattack in 8 hours, and at the same time use the power of the Supreme Commander of the Foundation to send a request to the President of the Federation to sign Order 51. 17. At that time, you can let go of your hands and feet and do a big job. Hearing Chen Feng's plan, Ophelia's eyes sparkled, as if she couldn't wait. Ophelia said confidently, then, please use me and the Chaos Splitter to your heart's content. I will definitely control them and let the Chaos Splitter return to their original mission. After finishing speaking, Chen Feng raised his hand and glanced at the military watch on his hand and said, then, it is 2300 hours on the 11th, and in 8 hours, the Foundation will appear in front of the world. Completely expel this doomsday from our world. Chapter 65. The whole territory of Yingjiang is blocked, and Nirvana is reborn. Seeking subscription, custom. On Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., in front of a huge square where the Washington Monument stands, the bustle of the past has long since disappeared, and tourists and citizens have disappeared. The cordon was pulled up, and armed police and armed security guards were everywhere. Barricades and military armored vehicles turned the heart of the Federation into a citadel of iron barrel defense. Accompanied by the gloomy sky, light rain fell, and soon turned into a downpour. The federal flag hanging in front of the monument no longer fluttered in the rain. This is FCN Morning News. I'm the host Hannah, and I'm broadcasting today's newsletter for you. Since the Black Thursday incident, more than 8 states including Kentucky, New Jersey, Colorado, and New York have successively experienced large-scale infections. This flu epidemic has swept across the Commonwealth. According to the research of the medical team of Imperial State University of Science and Technology, it is found that the virus will attack the human nerve center, making the patient prone to enter a state of extreme rage and attack all human beings around him. Yesterday, serious demonstrations and riots occurred in Washington, Manhattan, Vegas, New Chicago and other areas. Supermarkets in a large number of cities fell into a shortage of supplies, and the logistics of the entire federal government was temporarily interrupted. The following cities, 24 cities including Chengdu, New York, Raccoon City, and New Chicago, have declared a state of emergency and comprehensive martial law. The federal speaker will deliver a major national speech in 1 hour. The Coast Guard has tightly controlled the east and west coasts of the Commonwealth, and the Department of Transportation has indicated that planes, trains, and shipping within the Commonwealth will be temporarily suspended. I'm the host, Hannah, and I'll give you a detailed report below. May God bless the Commonwealth. The TV was turned off, and the federal speaker, Adam Benford, put down the remote control in his hand with a deep frown, and looked at the senior federal officials in front of him expressionlessly. 09. Your Excellency. The chief speaker knocked on the 200-year-old oak desk in front of him, and scanned the area below with burning eyes. The grey-haired chairman Adam Benford said in a deep voice, Gentlemen, the Federation has reached the most critical moment, but those who have been talking about it all the time, whether it is the military, the health department, or the intelligence department, all members of the parliament. Gentlemen, at the moment there is nothing you can do. The group of well-dressed gentlemen were speechless when they were questioned, and they all looked at their noses, and their noses watched their hearts, and they didn't answer. The dull meeting was going on, when a secretary at the moment came over cautiously from the side, and whispered in his ear, Your Excellency the Speaker, the 4-star General, General Sheffield has just arrived by military plane. General Sheffield? He's not at the Hexagon. What's he doing here? Adam Benford pondered for a moment and ordered to the secretary, Let him in. After a while, I saw a typical rednecked old general with grey hair but tall and straight figure, walked in accompanied by 2 high-ranking officers. As soon as they met, Sheffield said straight to the point, Mr. President, Federation 1 has reached the most critical moment. Now there should be no more hesitation. We have to strike hard. It's time to sign Order Number 51. Hearing this, Adam Benford frowned. Hesitation, but Black Watch and the Marine Corps said they can control the situation. Hearing this, General Sheffield sneered dismissively, if the situation can be controlled, the current consequences will not be caused. If the spread of infection is not controlled, the Federation will become an international orphan and be isolated by the whole world. Once the Federation loses the global, what kind of consequences will this supply chain cause? I don't think Your Excellency the Speaker wants to see it. After all, as one of the 4-star generals with real power, General Sheffield handed over a document in front of Adam Benford. No more hesitation, sir. After finishing speaking, he leaned closer to Adam Benford, and added in a low voice, The Global Strategic Bureau has told me that they will be able to control the situation within 3 days, including the Stark Group and other companies, have already decided to support the National Strategic Bureau. Okay, you convinced me. Bring the documents. Adam Benford quickly took over the document, signed his name, and immediately affixed the official seal of the chief speaker. You will not regret this decision. His Excellency Chen Feng of the Foundation has already stated that the Foundation will fully intervene. Mr. President, you can rest easy. Adam Benford sighed. I hope so. What Mr. Chief Speaker Adam Benford didn't know was that just yesterday, Chen Feng had already met with a military giant in front of him through Tony Stark. The most valuable thing about Tony Stark is naturally his technological talent, but the value of his Stark Group and the huge network of contacts left to him by Howard Stark can be compared with it. After all, the world is not only about fighting and killing, but also about people's understanding of the world. If it weren't for Tony's connections, he wouldn't be the leader of Avengers. As the leader of the Federation's top military-industrial enterprises for so many years, Stark Group is an indispensable member of its military-industrial complex. It can be said that the General Speaker of the Federation is only the General Speaker for 8 years, but whoever controls the Stark Group can be said to be the underground emperor of the Federation for a lifetime. Without the help of the Stark Group, Chen Feng would still have some trouble finding General Sheffield. However, after lobbying by the Foundation, Sheffield naturally chose to side with the Foundation from the bottom of his heart. Tony is willing to transfer the technology of the military's MKI mecha to Colonel James Rhodes, and from then on, the Foundation and the Global Strategy Bureau are willing to develop deeper support with the military. Definitely after a lot of lobbying, a special fund of $500 million was added to Sheffield's private account, and the National Strategy Bureau will invest a sum of $100 billion in bidding funds for major military enterprises. As a very principled General Sheffield, he first rejected these requests with positive words, but considering that $500 million was used to support veterans, and the tender of $100 billion, in the end the Stark Group and the Foundation will jointly fund and establish a new military-industrial enterprise in a joint venture with the federal military. In addition, 2 retired generals from the Federal Military Special Operations Command will serve as military advisors to a military defense company established under the Foundation. For a patriot like him, the benefits outweigh the risks regardless of public or private interests. In the end, General Sheffield, who was moved by the patriotic behavior of the Foundation and the Stark Group, was very considerate of his feelings and reason. I agreed to their request and accepted the gift of cooperation reasonably. Just after Federal Speaker Adam Benford signed Order No. 51, Adam Benford and General Sheffield shook hands in a friendly manner, and then the document was quickly passed through the federal Capitol Hill for execution. 5 minutes later, a special car arrived at the headquarters of the National Strategic Bureau in Washington. 2 high-level agents from the Global Strategic Bureau hurried to the general headquarters of the Global Strategic Bureau. Order No. 51 is officially issued. Immediately issue activation instructions to all terminals in the Federation through the SHD host. Authorization code I-851.CQ633.QL320. Authorization code green. Authorization start. In normal times, the National Strategic Bureau will only maintain a minimum operating existence, including the director of the National Strategic Bureau is also in a vacant state. However, once activated, Chen Feng, who has the highest authority of the Global Strategic Bureau, will automatically take over the post of director of the Global Strategic Bureau. At the headquarters of the Foundation, Chen Feng suddenly raised his right hand. On his right hand, the light of the watch lit up, and a code numbered 001 was extremely dazzling. At the moment, Xfeng's voice that has taken over the entire Foundation network suddenly sounded, "Commander, a special set of signals has been detected, and I seem to be able to activate the AI system that takes over the Global Strategic Bureau through your wristwatch. Do you need to activate?" Chen Feng affirmatively demanded. "Sure to activate." "Okay, wait a minute, I will use my subroutine to take over the OSD system, and my subroutine will become the AI system of the OSD." Immediately afterwards, an emotionless Xfeng's voice sounded. "The central system of the Global Strategic Bureau has been activated, and it has been detected that the commander, your identity code is SO1. According to Order No. 51, you will be coded as Global Agent SO1, and will automatically take over the entire Territory Strategic Bureau, become the current director of the National Strategic Bureau." "Welcome back, Chief." Following the sound of the subroutine Xfeng, a huge amounts of stereoscopic holographic projection screen appeared in front of Chen Feng's eyes, which was a map that included the entire territory of the Federation. According to the agreement, the Federation has been in a state of blockade throughout the territory. Do you want to activate all agents in the territory of the Federation, Director? Chen Feng glanced at the authorization, smiled and pressed the fingerprint of his thumb on the watch and said, "Activation command." Authorization code I-851.CQ633.QL320. Received that the activation procedure is complete. Order No. 51 has officially come into effect. and the authorization has been officially launched through the Nirvana Plan. Wake-up procedures started. All sleepers will be awakened. After the Xfeng sub-program that took over the mainframe of the Global Strategy Bureau passed the activation code, an orange light that symbolized the Nirvana of the Phoenix lit up. Immediately in front of the giant screen of the headquarters of the Global Strategic Bureau, an orange light like a flame lit up on the dull watches of one Global Strategic Bureau agent after another. At the moment on the huge amounts of stereoscopic holographic projection screen in front of Chen Feng, a tiny spot of light lit up, followed by the second, the third. 10, hundreds, tens of thousands. Like a single spark starting a prairie fire, after the countless sparks on the screen are constructed, countless light spots are formed on the holographic map of the Federation to form a phoenix that symbolizes the rebirth of the Ten-Song dynasty. A satisfied expression appeared on Chen Feng's face. At the moment, Ophelia and her adjutant Leah just came over to say goodbye and just witnessed the whole process. Now, Ophelia finally understood why the Global Strategic Bureau has always allowed the Chaos Splitters to expand and dominate as if they didn't exist. Because the Global Strategy Bureau has been dormant, and if these dormant people are not awakened, if these 340 Ashen Phoenixes do not nirvana, no one will know his existence at all. It just regards the Global Strategic Bureau as an organization about the same level as Phobol. Although Ophelia had already known such a secret before, she was already prepared, but when she actually saw the dormant agents all over the entire Federation, Ophelia was greatly shocked. So many agents. What an exaggeration and what a huge effort. Ophelia and her junior lieutenant now know why the original leader of the Chaos Insurgency kept telling them that the division is an organization comparable to the Chaos Insurgency. But since the original leader of the Chaos Splitter who traveled through the world passed away, they no longer take it seriously, just as a dispensable legend. Even Ophelia, a long-lived person, has never seen the existence of a real global strategy. But today, she saw how terrifying the Global Strategic Bureau really is. Looking at the unpredictable Chen Feng in front of them, Ophelia and the little adjutant now only feel that the other's image has been elevated to an unimaginable level. It's just a whole land strategic bureau, and it's just a part of the grand layout, and this part is a peak that climbs to the sky. But thinking of this, Mrs. Ophelia's next reaction was overjoyed. As long as she is the commander's closest partner, the stronger the foundation, the further she can lead the Chaos Splitters. You can even touch those existences that you can't touch at all. Thinking of this, Ophelia wished she could stay by Chen Feng's side for a few more months before leaving. But thinking of the Master's mission, she still had to give Chen Feng a watery look, and then reported softly, "Master Commander, we are ready and ready to go." Chen Feng raised his head and glanced at this troublesome goblin. Now he has no time to listen to his wife play the piano. He took out a Romani Conti from the wine cabinet on the side, poured 3 glasses, raised the glass and said, "I wish you a successful start. The Foundation will take full action next." Mrs. Ophelia drank the red wine, and hugged Chen Feng tightly with her blushing cheeks, whispering, "Then, Commander, you can wait for my good news." After bidding farewell to Ophelia, Chen Feng took out his changed Foundation service gun, played with it casually for a while, and said in a low voice, "It's time for us to do it." Chapter 66, Eagle Source, who has been reduced to purgatory. The agent of the Global Bureau is dormant. Seeking subscription. Next month will be Christmas. At this time in previous years, Christmas is already being celebrated, but now, the residents of the Federation are going through purgatory. From the first case on November 17th to the first wave of infections on the 19th, the city was ravaged by the initial surge of cases, which paralyzed local medical institutions. The federal government's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and other federal agencies quickly stepped in to declare a state of emergency. But the spread of the virus is beyond everyone's imagination, and it has become almost impossible to contain it. On November 21st, Federal Speaker Adam Benford ordered the Federal Army to surround and blockade New York City, and the Disaster Emergency Management Agency began to distribute emergency vaccines obtained from the United Pharmaceutical Company on a large scale. By the 22nd, however, the situation had deteriorated, with the United Global Health Organization declaring it a massive outbreak, and New York City's chaotic state upgrade security forces evacuated from out-of-control neighborhoods. The remaining police and military units were combined to form the Joint Operations Force. In order to control the situation on the 23rd, the Joint Combat Force had to build a high wall around the city center and erected barricades and fortifications on various streets. However, the urban area was blocked, and the situation became more and more unstable and tense. Even if the virus is really just a flu this time, everything seems to be controllable and gradually improving. Human beings miscalculated what they were facing. This was not influenza at all, but caused by the substrain of the abnormal Containment 008 zombie virus. At first, people thought it was nothing more than a pandemic flu until the dead started coming back to life and attacking the living. The city center, where the Disaster Emergency Response Agency continued to transport and detain patients, became the most dire flashpoint, and the Joint Combat Force suffered severe attrition. On the 24th, in response to the increasingly severe crisis, Speaker Adam Benford officially signed and implemented Decree No. 51, immediately using the first batch of agents from the Strategic Homeland Bureau to intervene in various out-of-control cities. Feather-like snowflakes are falling, making the city even more gloomy. New York, Manhattan, Hell's Kitchen. Only when you lose, you will know the value of possession. In the past, the people of the Federation can stay at home comfortably in winter, blowing on the heater, burning the fireplace, enjoying the beauty of the holiday during this time, and preparing for the upcoming Christmas with their wives, children, and friends. Prepare for the festival. But now, this most prosperous city in the Federation has been turned into a purgatory in just 1 week, with living dead men filling every city and chasing and killing living people. Prolonged blockade, with no way out of the city, many people were reduced to thugs. It used to take only 5 minutes to walk downstairs to the restaurant when I was hungry. But now this 5-minute journey may take an hour, and even cost my life. Water and electricity cut off, food shortage, lack of medicine, and there are countless wandering zombies in the infected area, as well as rampant gang thugs. Their former protectors, the military and police who worked hard to maintain order, at the moment instead became the targets of those mobs. Even though it used to be $0 purchases every day, gun battles every day, known as Little Gotham, but the federal residents of New York hope so much that their former lives can come back, even if it is the terrible daily security they complained about before. At least you won't worry about going out to feed the zombies, you don't have to worry about your only supplies being robbed by mobs, and you don't have to worry about your wife and daughter suffering misfortune. Although JTF is barely maintaining, but with JTF suffering serious attrition and losing ground, this fragile city seems to be about to collapse at any time. Like Gwen, Peter Parker at the moment, who has obtained the super ability, huddled with a group of students, parents and teachers of Midtown Technical High School in the campus blocked by wooden boards and barricades. Although the disaster was severe, Peter Parker's life was pretty good. With the Spider-Man's extraordinary ability, Peter Parker got a lot of supplies. Not only can I eat and drink without worrying about myself, but I can also guarantee the supply of materials for uncle and aunt. Since Peter's uncle is not dead yet, he hasn't told Peter the famous saying that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. At the moment, Peter is still in the excitement and loss of gaining power. Especially at this time, due to the disaster, Peter Parker was able to live together with a goddess in his heart, Mary Jane, in the same classroom that was converted into a temporary shelter. Definitely, there are others here. Even so, Peter even wished that these days could last longer. Just when Peter Parker was still dreaming that this kind of life could last longer, Peter's best friend Ned suddenly picked up his mobile phone and shouted at Peter. "Hey, Peter, watch this video. It's super cool tilde." "What video is this?" "It's about some kind of foundation. It seems to say that there is an agent organization of the Global Strategic Bureau that has been lurking around us." "Maybe there are agents of the Global Strategic Bureau around us." Peter laughed when he heard Ned's words. "This must be a lie, a lie. If there are really so many agents, the city should return to normal. How is it possible?" "This is a video that has been viewed more than 1 billion times on YouTube before. Maybe it really exists." As soon as Ned finished speaking, he suddenly saw a red-haired girl walking into the safe room of the classroom. It was Peter's dream lover, Mary. Mary asked curiously, "What are you two looking at?" Peter suddenly became excited, and danced and said, "Wow, you know what? It's a super cool video about a secret agent organization called the Global Strategic Bureau, saying that they have arranged countless agents throughout the Federation, saying maybe one of the three of us is a global agent." "What agent is not agent?" "That's funny, Peter. I got some batteries. Why don't we play with the handheld?" Mary changed the topic with a smile. At this moment, there was a loud noise from the campus. Ned looked panicked. "What's going on?" The three of them looked out of the window and saw that the gate of Midtown High School of Science and Technology had been blasted open. After the explosion, the wreckage of several cars smashed through the gate and broke in. This is not the most troublesome. Huge amounts of noise are likely to cause zombies in the infected area a few blocks away to move this way. After several cars stopped, a group of thugs came down quickly, and they attacked the TF Joint Combat Force guarding the school. Under the muzzle and incendiary bomb attacks of the thugs, the weak Joint Combat Force retreated steadily. At this moment, Peter and Ned didn't see that an orange watch lit up on Mary's wrist, forming an orange phoenix icon. Seeing this scene, Ned was terrified. "Damn, these bastards are about to attack. Peter, should we run away?" As soon as the voice fell, there were gunshots and screams from outside the corridor. At this moment, a nimble figure rushed out of the room, with a sliding shovel probing, accompanied by a burst of gunshots. Two thugs who tried to break into the floor were instantly shot dead. Peter and Ned looked at the fully armed Mary in front of them in shock. Simple. At the moment, she has put on a peaked cap and a high-tech translucent breathing mask, and she is wearing a tactical vest. After finishing the two enemies, Mary Jane smiled at Peter. "Sorry, I have to save our city, Peter." After speaking, Mary walked to the closet in the room, and saw a backpack with an orange indicator light lying there quietly. Mary Jane put on her backpack and waved goodbye to the two of them chicly with a super dagger submachine gun. After a while, Peter Parker was stunned for a moment and turned to Ned and said, "Ned, you hide in the safe house first, and I'll go and see it too." After speaking, Peter quickly left the safe house, put on his own hood and mask, and climbed up to the roof of the school. At this moment, he saw that Mary Jane had started exchanging fire with a gang of thugs. But there are so many thugs that Mary Jane seems to be alone. Just when Peter was about to turn into a Spider-Man hero, a rocket bomb overturned a thug's car. Short Sword 04 joined the action. "That was my homeroom teacher, Teacher Irene." However, at this moment, Teacher Irene was wearing a costume similar to Mary's, and was using an M14 air precision rifle to shoot and kill those thugs with precision one shot after another on the roof. At this time, the thugs set up a vehicle-mounted M249 class and frantically suppressed Teacher Irene on the roof with machine guns. Two smoke bombs suddenly hit the mob's machine gun vehicle. Short Sword 03 joins the action. It is Yuko, the Sakura girl who has been acting as a little transparent in the next class. She was carrying an explosion-proof shield, and rushed out with a shotgun on the shield, blocking in front of Mary, covering Mary and changing a bunker. Dagro 2 joins the action. Two quadrotor drones flew out suddenly, and the 5.56mm rifles on the drones poured firepower at the mobs to suppress them. It was Xiaolin, an international student from Dongwang in the school. She was also holding a MK48 mod machine gun and pouring firepower at those thugs, suppressing them. Vertical bar. Short Sword 01 joined the action. Mary and Yuko took advantage of the cover of firepower and rushed up immediately, CBQ at close range, and under the cover of Teacher Irene and Kobayashi, the group of thugs were annihilated. In the end, the thugs in the school were all killed in just a few minutes. Peter Parker stared blankly at those familiar people, but felt that they were extremely strange at this moment. At the moment, the same scene happened around people. At Gwen's house in Queens, George Stacy silently put on the logo with the orange indicator light on his back. Although the Red Rock Fort base was vaccinated, many people were infected and transformed. Just when the Red Rock Fort base was about to fall, Natasha Romanoff and Sky saw civilians one after another, and suddenly joined the battle with weapons they did not know where they got, and saved Redstone Fort. And they all have one symbol in common: they all carry a backpack with a flashing orange light on it. Short Sword Squad has joined the battle and is now intervening in Block 48 to stabilize the situation. The Noble Squad has joined the battle and has stepped into the 23rd block to curb the spread of the infected. The Red Umbrella Squad has joined the battle and has stepped into Block 12 to help JTF protect the people. In the school, in the apartment, and in the street, one agent after another was still alive, and the dormant ones were awakened, and then they started their mission without hesitation. Intervene in the situation, save the city, and curb the chaos. Peter Parker watched in disbelief as one team after another of agents from all over the world risked their lives like moths to a flame to save the life they once had. No matter, Zhao Hao is facing those vicious thugs, or the tide of corpses in the infected area, those flashing orange lights, gathered together, become more like a bright light illuminating the city. These people may be your neighbor uncle, or your brothers and sisters, husband or wife, your best friend, but the next moment their orange watch lights up. They have become the agents of the whole territory, joining the battle without hesitation. No matter whether there is a mountain of swords or a sea of fire, they will go forward without hesitation. At this moment, Peter felt that there seemed to be a flame burning in his chest. The next moment, he took a deep breath and stood up slowly. Peter pulled out his elaborate red and blue bodysuit from his backpack and changed into it. Seeing those agents who risked their lives to join the battle, Peter Parker took a deep leap. Whether it's Spider-Man, or Punisher in Hell's Kitchen, or Hawkeye in the apartment. When these superheroes saw the agents of the whole territory come forward, they made their own choices one after another. At this time, one after another V-44X vertical takeoff and landing transport helicopters with the logo of the Foundation flew from the air to the Redstone Fort base. In the cabin, there are countless soldiers of the Foundation Mobile Task Force, armed with live ammunition and ready to go. At this moment, all federal citizens who can still access the internet, watch videos, watch live TV, or listen to the radio all of a sudden see a handsome black-haired man in a black military uniform appear in their cameras forward. Hi, fellow citizens of the Federation. Let me introduce myself. I am the current Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation and the Director of the Global Strategy Bureau, Chen Feng. Chapter 67 Live broadcast worldwide. The Foundation has been guarding the world, seeking subscription. This is a global live broadcast speech, whether it is FCN, CNN, BCN, BBC, or every video website controlled by Federal Capital Media. Chen Feng, wearing the uniform of a Foundation general officer, appears in both. Chen Feng pressed down the brim of his hat, looked directly at the camera, with a confident expression on his face. Hello, Fellow citizens of the Federation, let me introduce myself. I am the current Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation and the Director of the Global Strategy Bureau, Chen Feng. In the past week, the Federation has suffered terrible disasters, and the federal system we are proud of is fragile. Chen Feng lightly took out a strong card and said, before the Black Friday incident, it was still a symbol of power and wealth. But now it is on the verge of collapse and will soon become a waste. And the culprit that caused all this is just a containment called Anomaly 008. From ancient times to the present, every time a large number of contained objects appear, they have caused countless terrible disasters. The powerful technological civilization that human beings are proud of is as fragile as a blank sheet of paper in front of those unreasonable and terrifying abnormal containments. However, a group of brave people organized together, determined to contain all anomalies. In the canteen of the Red Rock Fort military base, which was closed by various roadblocks, Sky and the widows, as well as countless surviving National Guard soldiers, as well as the public watched the TV screen intently. In a Hummer military vehicle, Gwen, Eliza, and Catherine sat in the vehicle and looked at a mobile phone screen together intently. Inside SHIELD, Nick Fury turned on the TV and listened to Chen Feng's speech on the screen. In the helicopter, Phil Coulson listens to the radio with May's agent. In the ward of the Foundation's Paradise Island headquarters, Pepper was feeding Tony a bento, and the live broadcast was playing on the screen. As soon as Chen Feng finished speaking, a video appeared on the screen. The short video clip was edited from real images of the two containment operations led by Chen Feng. What emerges in the picture are the Afghan villages destroyed by 939, the unmarked rotting human skulls, and the pictures of 939 sub-individuals attacking humans. On 377 YouTube, Facebook, Bluebird, and The Line, countless global audiences who watched the switching scene exclaimed, "Gift crab, what kind of monsters are these? Are they real? Is that real? Oh my god, these monsters easily slaughtered the entire village. Human beings are like lambs to be slaughtered in front of them." When I saw this, I saw countless shocking comments, but there were also some skeptical ones. A third netizen questioned, "Is this the real world? It can't be fake, right?" Soon the netizens of the White Eagle Federation downstairs were furious. "Crazy, Asan upstairs is really ignorant, how could it be fake?" This is a program broadcast live by the four major media outlets FCN, CNN, BCN, and BBC at the same time! It is the foundation of our great White Eagle Federation that is silently enduring all this and protecting all mankind. At this time, a Dongwang comment appeared. "FK, what did I see?" Chen Feng is from Dongwang, right? He doesn't look Asian at all. The leader of your White Eagle Federation is a Dongwang. You read that right upstairs. The Foundation is forcing you. Dongwang people in front, don't talk nonsense. Chen Feng is obviously from our cold country. Disgusting stick man, who recognizes his ancestors in everything he sees, unlike our people in the country of cherry blossoms who also recognize Dongwang's status. Shameless stick. At this moment, the scene of 939 annihilating Atala's armed forces for the first time appeared on the screen, and text appeared, and a brief text popularization was carried out on the abnormal containment 939,000-throated beast. That 939,000-throated beast is too terrifying. It is a real thing, and it can easily wipe out an entire terrorist armed force in Adela. Is the Foundation fighting these monsters? On those incomparably real pictures, MTF Mobile Task Force members began to appear on the armbands with UCP printed on them. Black screen, white text, silent camera, we have been silently guarding. As soon as the screen turned, there were countless Mobile Task Force members fighting desperately against the contained objects. What appeared on the screen was Chen Feng in the lair of 939, leading the task force of the Beast of the Flesh and Blood Maw. In the camera, one after another task force members fought desperately, one after another, but no one flinched. Under the tragic battle, the Flesh and Blood Mobile Task Force members finally contained the mother body of 939 after suffering great casualties. When the containment was successful, there were Mobile Task Force members killed one after another on the battlefield. This scene made everyone watching on the entire Terra Blue Star into a great shock. It turns out that the world we live in is not safe, and it turns out that human beings have always faced the terrible threat of contained objects. It turns out that there is such a group of people who are silently guarding us. The following screen is the action screen of Abnormal Containment 096 Shyman, the terrible disaster caused by 096 and the tragic death of countless ordinary people, especially the federal people, quickly reminded them of the previous large-scale disappearance cases. There were different opinions at the time, but they were suppressed by the Federation in the end. At this time, they finally got the right number. Seeing this kind of picture that is closely related to themselves, the people of the Federation thought of the recent series of terrible disasters, and immediately felt the same. In the same short film, there is a short science popularization about the shy people in Containment 096. The screen changed, and there was a large-scale scene of SHIELD and the military using all kinds of heavy equipment to attack the abnormal Containment 096. The shy person It was countless times more real than popcorn movies, and beyond the threshold of ordinary people's imagination. The White Eagle Federation military's terrifying firepower projected enough to destroy a small city couldn't stop 096 from advancing. Even when the mushroom cloud rose, the comment area fell into a momentary stagnation and blank state. Countless comments such as OMG, RIP, oh my god, it's terrible, nuclear bombs have been used are flying. Then the screen changed, and the screen of Mobile Task Force Hammerfall containing 095 was displayed. Are they crazy? Face such monsters with flesh and blood. The hearts of countless people became tense, watching those fearless task force members face the terrifying containment comparable to gods with flesh and blood. Countless people are praying, hoping that the Foundation can contain it successfully. When 096 was covered with a hood but still began to attack those task force members indiscriminately, the atmosphere in the live broadcast room, even if there were at least dozens of people watching, fell into a terrifying state of silence. In the picture, Heavy Hammer, the operation captain of the task force, is wearing a special eyepiece and seeing the 096 photo full of mosaics. At this time, the action captain Zong Hammer, who knew that his life was not long, began to desperately destroy the photos with a pen. When he saw that the action captain had destroyed 096's photo with a heavy hammer, he took off his mask and showed a relieved expression, but 096 appeared behind him. For a time, countless people all over the world were crying for this heroic task force. Just a few pixels, a random hijack photo of a scenic spot, can trigger a terrible tragedy in which tens of thousands of people die. The picture becomes black and white, and the Japanese characters appear in the lens. We walk in the darkness, so that the world lives in the light. We control, we contain, we protect, until death. I swear, I will become the shield that protects mankind, and defend the glory of mankind with flesh and blood. I will be the last line of defense for mankind, and die generously. In the comment area, Natasha Romanoff wrote this comment on it emotionally, like a decedent tribute. Then Tony Stark copy-pasted this comment as himself, like a tribute to decedent. +1. Then came Sky, Ophelia and her Lieutenant Leah, Gwen and Eliza, Phil Coulson, May Agent. Soon this comment was maxed out, and even director Nick Fury in SHIELD couldn't help but followed suit and liked it, like a decedent tribute. At this moment, all humans living on the Blue Star Terra have understood the terrible threat of the contained objects, and even caused a certain degree of panic. But because of the existence of the Foundation, this panic was suppressed very well. The camera returned to the live broadcast room again, and Chen Feng appeared in front of the screen. The contained objects have always been threatening human civilization, and the Foundation has always maintained a policy of covert operations, doing everything possible to erase the traces of the Foundation's existence. In every operation, we will clear the memory of the relevant people, so as not to cause unnecessary panic. However, the threat of the containment is becoming more and more serious. For example, what is brewing this crisis is the substrain mutant virus of the abnormal containment 008 zombie virus, which has created a terrible large-scale infection and turned patients into zombies. After careful discussion, the Foundation believes that hiding is meaningless, and human beings must have a deep understanding of the threats we face. For this reason, we have activated the defense mechanism that has been deployed for decades against the anomalous containment object 008. The Global Strategy Bureau and tens of thousands of agents across the territory will save the Federation from its destruction. On behalf of the Foundation, I announce that within 7 days, we will complete the containment of the abnormal containment 008 zombie virus. I believe that what greets mankind is not the end, but a future full of courage and endless possibilities. I believe that the hymn of mankind is the hymn of courage, and human beings will never succumb to the threat of contained objects. In this regard, I hope that after the Foundation successfully contains the abnormal containment object 008, the Foundation can have a conversation with the United Nations meeting to discuss the issue of handling the containment object. As we speak, the Global Strategy Bureau has been restarted, and the heroic agents of the whole territory will restore the extremely bad situation. We will face the mob, we will face the zombies, we will face the monsters, but we will not back down. After the live broadcast ended, there were countless people discussing excitedly. It's just that not everyone is excited. For example, Pierce is very dissatisfied. He hastily pushed open the door of Nick Fury's office. Then Pierce said to Nick Fury with an angry face, "Director Nick, those bastards of the Foundation, damn it, they are playing tricks. They exposed federal secrets, they exposed the darkness to the light. This is serious threat to federal security. Doesn't he know how much panic this will cause? And what is the purpose of this live broadcast? If this continues, the Foundation will be difficult to check and balance. We must fight back." Director Nick Fury glanced at Pierce with some dissatisfaction, and retorted lightly, "Pierce, don't say anything that is harmful to unity. The Foundation and SHIELD are comrades in the trenches now, and we are all facing huge amounts of threats. Don't say anything that is not conducive to unity at this time, and don't do anything that is not conducive to unity. It's pointless to talk about that now. This crisis can't be concealed originally, and many things have reached the point where they have to be made public. Instead of announcing it after the end and being complained by the public, Commander Chen Feng chooses the best time to announce it now, so as to avoid our passiveness. Now is not the time to fight for power, but the issue of survival crisis. If the crisis of the abnormal containment 008 zombie virus is not dealt with, the Federation will not know what to do. Can it exist if the Federation is over? The strength and influence of SHIELD will be greatly reduced. Pierce, don't you even know this? By Nick Pierce, who Fury scolded, was still angry, but he still took a few deep breaths, then bowed his head respectfully, as if admitting his mistake. Sorry Nick, Director, I'm being too narrow, but the problem I mentioned is still possible. After all, if the Foundation has the support of the people ... even if they get the terrible ability to influence the Federation, and even the whole world, if the influence of the major human nations, we will talk about the future. We must distinguish between the primary and the secondary. Pierce, watching Pierce leave, Nick Fury sighed. He finally chose to trust the Foundation. Chapter 68 Federation 5-Star General, Overwatch Task Force members for half a century, subscribe. Ding. The respected commander announced the existence of the Foundation and its containment to the whole world, which aroused the great attention of human civilization and gained 1 million rumor points. Obtain 10 extra special capsules. When Chen Feng saw the rewards, the smile on his face became even wider. The rewards for the science popularization of human civilization are indeed very high, 1 reward of 1 million rumor points, and 1 extra 10 consecutive special gashapons. It's a huge profit. I am really grateful to the Chaos Separatists and the enthusiasm brought by the 12 Roundtable Council. If there was no 12 Roundtable Council to do things, Chen Feng would never have had the opportunity to make such a global speech. If Chen Feng himself conducted such a global live broadcast in normal times, it is estimated that most people would only watch it for fun and anecdotes. But after experiencing a biochemical crisis caused by the 008 zombie virus substrain, even the White Eagle Federation, the most powerful human country on the surface, almost sent it. Humans around the world are almost in constant panic. At this time, Chen Feng held such a global speech and actively demonstrated the existence of the Foundation. Only in this way can it be highly valued. One of the fundamental disadvantages of human beings is that most people are short-sighted. If there is no crisis, who will take you seriously? Without this biochemical crisis, it would be almost impossible to obtain such a high rumor reward. Definitely thanks to Tony Stark's strength. Without the assistance of Stark Group, Chen Feng would still need to spend some effort to build such a big battle on his own. In fact, disclosing the existence of the Foundation in this way is not in line with the original intention of the Foundation. After all, the Foundation needs to hide its own existence all the time. Even for those underworld scenes where containment fails, the Foundation will immediately detonate the site and destroy all traces of the Foundation's existence. However, the world is facing too many threats, and it is meaningless to hide the Foundation. In order to protect human civilization, the existence of the Foundation must be made public. Chen Feng discovered that the system seemed to be guiding him, or the Foundation, intentionally or unintentionally. It is necessary for the Foundation to become a leader of human civilization and unite all human beings to fight against foreign enemies. Maybe it's because the American comics world plus the containment is too dangerous, so the system guides itself that way. In any case, the Foundation's contingent is now ready to go. Agents from all over the country are fighting fiercely in the city, only to regain their homeland and their daily life. And the Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation, the Director of the Global Strategy Bureau, will become the core guiding them. In the live broadcast room that just ended, Miss 2B, acting as a temporary adjutant, has already walked over with the latest situation information that has been sorted out. Commander, the latest battle situation has been sorted out. The Mobile Task Force Hammerdown and the Mobile Task Force Hell paratroopers have completed deployment and are on standby and ready to be dispatched at any time. The first batch of agents of the Global Strategic Bureau, with a total of 100,000 agents, has begun to perform tasks of stabilizing the situation and assisting the JTF Joint Combat Forces to rebuild the safe zones of various cities. In the key areas, New York, Luo Chengdu, New Chicago and Raccoon City, the first batch of agents have initially established a safe area and gained a firm foothold. After Miss 2B skillfully finished her report, she said the last bit of irrelevant news. Finally, there are 2 SHIELD agents outside who want to see you. Why? Chen Feng, who was holding the document, raised his eyebrows and asked a question. SHIELD's agent. Well, there's an old Mediterranean bald man who calls himself Phil Coulson. A strange look appeared on Phil Coulson, Chen Feng's face. He has always heard of Phil Coulson, the character who usually exists in the novice village in the American comics world, but he has never had the chance to see it. But now he actually sees it. Thinking that I have been in the American comics world for so long, Widow's sister, Sky, Tony and others have all seen it, but Phil Coulson has the chance to meet it now. Chen Feng didn't know that SHIELD had already raised the importance of him to the highest level, but he always felt that his sense of existence was relatively low. The Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation has been searching for the enemy in the void, far underestimating the strength of the Foundation. It's no wonder, after all, after watching American comics for so long, Chen Feng has long admired the famous SHIELD. Who knew that SHIELD would be in such a downturn when the Avengers Alliance was not established, and it would almost become a snake shield bureau? When Phil Coulson came to the door, Chen Feng readily agreed to his meeting request, and replied to Miss 2B, "Let him in." It didn't take long for Chen Feng to recognize Phil Coulson and the Melinda Mays agent, who almost have the same image as the American TV series SHIELD agent. An American polite smile appeared on Chen Feng's face. "Agents Phil Coulson and May, you are welcome." Although it was Chen Feng's polite smile and polite handshake, but at this moment, Chen Feng was no longer the little transparent person who was slaughtered in the Adela cave. The current Chen Feng has a pivotal role. The heavyweight status of the Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation and the Director of the Global Strategy Bureau made Phil Coulson and Agent M flattered. Phil Coulson first expressed his thanks, and then asked cautiously, "Thank you very much, Mr. Chen Feng, for meeting us in person. I am here on behalf of SHIELD to discuss the cooperation with the Foundation. May I delay your time?" Seeing such a careful and kind Phil Coulson, Chen Feng smiled. "No problem, Detective Phil Coulson." As soon as he finished speaking, Miss 2B interrupted him unceremoniously. "I'm sorry, Commander, your upcoming schedule is already full. Have you forgotten? I'll have to meet the former director of the Global Strategy Bureau later." Chen Feng at the moment showed a slightly apologetic expression to Phil Coulson. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Phil Coulson. I forgot that the next schedule was so slow." Just when Phil Coulson and the May agent were already holding the mentality of returning disappointed, Chen Feng changed his tone and suggested, "How about Agents Phil Coulson and Agent M? Can I go to see the old gentleman with me?" Hearing this, Phil Coulson and Agent M's originally dejected expressions were swept away, and there was a look of joy on their faces. With a look of joy on his face, Phil Coulson subconsciously asked again, "Is there any problem, Mr. Chen Feng?" Chen Feng smiled and nodded. "Definitely yes. After all, Agent Phil Coulson is a level 8 agent of SHIELD, so he has this qualification." It didn't take long for Chen Feng to board the custom-made extended Cadillac specially designed for the President of the Federation, which cost $150 million a car. It is said that this car can even withstand the attack of nuclear weapons. The space in the car is very spacious. To be honest, although Phil Coulson and Agent Ma are high-level agents of SHIELD, it is the first time for them to sit in such a luxurious car. This is all due to Chen Feng's attention. This is a special car allocated to the Director of the Global Strategy Bureau. There is even a small temperature-controlled wine cabinet in the car. Chen Feng skillfully took out an 82-year-old Lafite from the inside and poured it for the two of them. This flattered Phil Coulson and Agent May even more. Chen Feng's many years of experience in social animals makes him very good at buying people's hearts. Strictly speaking, his identity and status are higher than Nick Fury's existence. Such an existence pours wine on Phil Coulson, an 8th-level agent, let alone agent. They have never experienced such a battle, and they all feel that Commander Chen Feng is approachable. Such approachable big shots are rare. At this time, it was already snowing heavily in Washington, D.C., and there were military vehicles under martial law on the side of the road, but these fortified checkpoints immediately let go after encountering the convoy of the National Strategic Bureau. Wherever Chen Feng rode in a special vehicle that was comparable to the special car of the General Assembly Speaker, all the federal soldiers had to salute this special car honestly. Soon the convoy came to a farm in the suburbs of Washington, which seemed ordinary but was actually heavily guarded. In addition to the professional PMC armed guards guarding here, there are also quite a few non-dormant permanent agents of the Global Strategic Bureau. Seeking flowers. It's just that the guards were heavily guarded. After seeing Chen Feng's special car, all the checkpoints were released. The eyes of those agents all over the world were full of curiosity and anticipation as if they were looking at a sacred handover ceremony. "Your Excellency Chen Feng, the former bureau chief has been waiting for you for a long time. Please follow me." As soon as Chen Feng got out of the car, a beautiful female secretary in a skirt came up to him, and then led them to the farm. Afterwards, Chen Feng and the others came to a place like a study and reception room on the farm. The most eye-catching thing in the room was a deer head specimen decoration. Beside the deer head decoration specimen, Chen Feng was stunned for a moment. Those are two flags, the Nirvana Phoenix flag of the Global Strategy Bureau and the Foundation flag. The moment an old man with gray hair and wrinkled face was wearing the uniform of a federal 5-star general, when he saw Chen Feng, he subconsciously straightened his back and put down his cane. The attendants at the side hurried forward to support him, but he pushed him away. The old man stepped forward excitedly. His old eyes were full of tears because of the excitement. The old man raised his right hand laboriously to salute Chen Feng. Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, Red Right Hand. MTF Mobile Task Force Member Number 05961, pay tribute to the Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation. Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, has not yet completed the containment task. 05961 requests to return to the team, continued to complete the final containment operation. Chen Feng was silent for a while. He returned a military salute, and then patted the old man on the shoulder. The Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation received that 05961 is allowed to return to the team and continued to complete the final containment task. The old man showed a dejected expression and let out a long sigh. It's been 60 years, Commander-in-Chief. If you don't come again, my old bones will be buried in the ground. Thank you for standing alone for 60 years. Admiral Mount is proud of you. Don't call me Admiral, Commander. I will always be an MTF of the Foundation, and will always be a third-class Sergeant Major of the MTF. A third-rank Sergeant Major? That is an existence that has experienced at least 10 containment missions and survived. This can't help but make Chen Feng look sideways. He is indeed an eternally loyal MTF. What is loyalty? This is loyalty. Phil Coulson and Magent at the moment on the side watched the scene in front of them dumbfounded. Phil Coulson's mouth can even fit an apple. Agent May asked in a low voice with a shocked face, Is this really General Lewis, that legendary hero during World War II? The partner who fought side by side with the Federation captain? Yes, that's right. It must be General Lewis. General Lewis is a Foundation Task Force. Oh my god. This is simply explosive news. The former director of the Global Strategy Bureau is actually the famous General Lewis. And the Federation's 5-star general, General Lewis, was already a member of the Foundation's Mobile Task Force 60 years ago. Phil Coulson and Agent May didn't know at all. Compared to the average Mobile Task Force, the gold content of General Lewis's third-level military chief. That was the food from Death God's hand, and he had to hammer Death God, and finally returned safe and sound. These people are like living legendary heroes. No wonder General Lewis is so proud of the title of Sergeant Major of the MTF Mobile Task Force without mentioning his status as the 5-star General of the Federation or the Director of the Global Strategic Bureau. Unexpectedly, the former Director of the Global Strategic Bureau was actually General Lewis. This is a superboss of the federal military. His words have a much higher gold content than General Sheffield. Chen Feng finally knew why his cooperation with the military went so smoothly. Emotions are the reason why this is a living fossil. Chapter 69 The Secret of the Year, the Captain America shield infected by 008. Please customize. In fact, Chen Feng did not expect that Lewis, the 5-star General of the Federation Army, would be the former Director of the Global Strategic Bureau. And the Director of the Global Strategic Bureau is also a member of the Red Right Hand Mobile Task Force. And he is also a survivor of the task force that came to this world for unknown reasons 60 years ago. But one thing that is very interesting is that General Lewis belongs to the special mobile task force called Red Right Hand. The Red Right Hand Mobile Task Force officially designated MFL for 1, Red Right Hand. As for why it is special? Because there is a big difference between the Red Right Mobile Task Force and other mobile task forces. That is, the Red Right Hand Mobile Task Force is a mobile task force exclusive to the O5 Council. This mobile task force is composed of the Foundation's most elite armed forces and professionals, and does not accept any orders from members of the Council. And part of the Red Right Hand Mobile Task Force happened to be mutineers and created the existence of the Chaos Insurgency. Where is this O5 Council sacred? First of all, this council is the letter 0 instead of the Arabic numeral 0. Hence the O5 Council is also known as the O5 Command. Supervisor. These supervisors and commanders of the O5 Council are the highest controllers of the Foundation. The O5 Council is the Foundation's highest authority. Members of the O5 Council have the highest security level and authority, and have exclusive agents and mobile task forces. Members of the Council usually decide on major issues of the Foundation through collective decision-making. O5 members of the Parliament can freely access all strategic information and confidential data of the 830 Foundation, including data deleted and hidden content. Council members can arbitrarily grant and deprive others of the Foundation's security authority, and can even directly decide the life and death of employees. By voting, the Parliament can launch various plans that are unheard of or even unimaginable for the Watch world, including restarting the world. Due to the possession of too many secrets, the positions of O5 Council members are tenured for life. The resigned members either died in office or defected from the Foundation. Even retired members have basically received amnestics to prevent the leakage of secrets. The Red Right Hand, as an MTF mobile task force loyal to the O5 Council and even only obeying the dispatch of the O5 Council, came to this world, and it is suspected that it caused 008's containment to go out of control. There may be some ulterior secrets in it. At this time, Chen Feng naturally introduced Phil Coulson and Agent M to General Lewis. These two are Phil Coulson Agent and Magent, who came to me to discuss cooperation matters on behalf of SHIELD. They happened to come to visit, so I brought them along. Listening to Chen Feng's words, General Lewis is a fine person, so he naturally understood what he meant. These two are outsiders of SHIELD. Pick what needs to be said and talk about other things after dismissing these two. So it's Agent Phil Coulson and Agent May from SHIELD. Welcome, let's find a suitable place to talk. It seems that in every big shot, there are always some secret rooms in the homes of the rich and powerful, and the secret room of Admiral Lois is no exception. It is hidden in a study. General Wright found the mechanism from the bookcase, controlled it, and soon the secret door hidden in the bookcase opened, and a passage appeared. After passing through the bright passage, everyone came to a reception room full of classical Paris lock style. Take a seat wherever you want, young man. This was apparently addressed to Phil Coulson and May's agent. But at this time, Phil Coulson and the Melinda stared blankly at a collection display case in front of them, where there was a shield that looked like the Stars and Stripes. It's just that the shield is covered with weird dark red lines like cobwebs. Phil Coulson pointed at the shield tremblingly, and stammered and asked, isn't this Captain America's shield? As a fanatical die-hard fan of Captain America, Phil Coulson noticed this collection at first sight after entering the reception room. After confirming several times with May agent, Phil Coulson finally confirmed that this is Captain America's shield. After hearing Phil Coulson's question, Lois chuckled, "That's right, young man. This is Captain America's shield." This answer puzzled both Phil Coulson and Agent May. Agent May on the side seemed a little confused. "General, as far as I know, Captain America should have disappeared with his shield." "What's going on with this shield?" Phil Coulson on the side has pricked up his ears, with a very focused demeanor, for fear of missing a word. As a Captain America fanatic, Phil Coulson is very interested in the secrets of Captain America, which is information that even SHIELD does not know. Definitely, Phil Coulson and Agent May would definitely not think that Admiral Lois would lie to them. After all, Admiral Lois has a high position and authority, and it is absolutely impossible for him to joke about this kind of thing. Captain America, Federation Captain, as a hero who has been promoted by the entire Federation for decades, is also closely related to SHIELD, so this matter is of great importance. General Lois, the former director of the Global Strategy Bureau, should be responsible for everything he said at this time. Therefore, after confirming the authenticity of the Captain America shield, Phil Coulson was pleasantly surprised at first, and then confused and incredulous. With this extreme curiosity, both of them wanted to know what kind of past Lois would tell them about this shield. With General Lois instructed by Chen Feng, he naturally answered all the questions of these two curious SHIELD agents. "I'm pretty sure this buckler is Captain America's shield. Howard Stark made the first shield made of vibranium metal, but it was polluted by 008 after the containment mutation, so it became like this. It's just that what you don't know is that Howard Stark made a total of 2 shields like this back then. The Red Skull of Hydra once took control of Containment 008, and this shield was contaminated during a battle. Because we are worried that it will cause uncontrollable serious consequences, and we are worried that 008 will infect Captain America through this buckler shield, so we contained this buckler shield." The other side went missing with Captain America in the final encounter with the Red Skull. After hearing this secret, Phil Coulson's eyes widened, and he said hesitantly, "You mean this shield is contaminated by the abnormal containment object 008? Isn't it very dangerous?" General Lois laughed and waved his hand. "If it was dangerous, would I still put it here?" As early as more than 10 years ago, this shield had lost its threat, but we detected some substances from that year. It seems to have formed a symbiotic relationship with this shield. You can understand that this is a shield that has become a containment object, and it's a harmless containment object. Hearing this, Phil Coulson hesitated for a moment, and then boldly and cautiously proposed, "General Lois, you know the importance of Captain America to SHIELD. I wonder if you can give up?" It's a pity that General Lois refused without even thinking about it. He looked at Phil Coulson with a half smile and said, "This is one of the few souvenirs I have as an old man. It is used to commemorate my old comrades. SHIELD will never count me as an old man." Bah! Phil Coulson waved his hands again and again, claiming not to dare. At this time, Chen Feng, who had been silent all this time, suddenly interjected, "So what happened back then?" "Old Sergeant Major?" Hearing this title, Admiral Lois fell into memory and thought, and after a while, he let out a long sigh. "Sorry, Commander, I'm a bit old. It will take some time to remember. It's a long story about what happened back then, so I'll just pick out the important ones and summarize them briefly. Back then, we were ordered by the Foundation to investigate the failure of Containment Object 008. Through investigation, we found that 008's mother body was transferred to a secret laboratory. When we contained 008, a mutation occurred, and everyone present suffered from a mysterious magnetic field. Finally we're here. Speaking of this, Admiral Lois paused, took a cup of hot tea to moisten his throat, and then said, "After that, it will be an old-fashioned story." Our team was split. Some people defected to Red Skull, while the rest continued to complete the containment mission. For this reason, we had to temporarily cooperate with the Federation. Because the Red Skull was given Containment 008 by the traitors at the time, the Federation was terrified that the Third Reich would acquire a horrific legion of living dead men. At this time, we cooperated with Captain America and the then agent Miss Carter to go deep behind enemy lines to sabotage and stop Hydra's actions. It's a pity that in the last battle, although the Red Skull was successfully stopped, the task force failed to contain 008. At that time, 008 and the traitor did not know. After hearing this anecdote, Phil Coulson thought for a while and said, "Your Excellency, since this is the case, can I report the news that this shield is with you to SHIELD? After all, this consultation is very important to SHIELD." General Lois waved his hand indifferently. "That's your business, I won't stop it. Who made the entanglement between Captain America and your SHIELD so deep?" Phil Coulson winked at Agent Matt the side, and said goodbye respectfully. "In this case, Agent M and I will report back first." "Please go ahead." After speaking, Phil Coulson took Agent M and hurried away. After all, Phil Coulson is an old fritter who has been engaged in the agent industry for many years. He naturally knew that General Lois told this secret to send himself and Agent M away. After all, people from the two foundations are also the former and current directors of the Global Strategy Bureau, so there must be many confidential conversations. It's a great surprise to come here this time, and it's a big reward to discover Captain America's shield. At this time, I definitely continue to get in the way here. Sure enough, after the two left, both Chen Feng and General Lois knew that what they just said was the version that could be told to the outside world, and what they are going to talk about now is the internal version. Although the information just told to Phil Coulson and Agent May is all true, it's just that General Lois will definitely hide a little detail, not much, just a little bit. Now, the identity of General Lois has been transformed into Sergeant Major Lois. Then Sergeant Major Lois, can you tell me what exactly the O5 Council sent you to do? Definitely, Your Excellency the Commander. I have been preparing for this day for a long time, and I even thought I could not be able to wait for this day. Seeing this, Chen Feng looked at the grey-haired and aging General Lois, and was a little confused. "Old Sergeant Major, why don't you use some strengthening medicine from the 008 substrain to keep yourself young? I think you should be able to do it." Lois laughed. "General Commander, if the O5 Council does not exist, there are some secrets that I would rather bring into the coffin as a member of the Red Right Hand. If it wasn't for your appearance, those secrets should be buried with me. You should have been in your current position for a short time." Seeing this, Chen Feng was a little curious. "How did you know about 3.1? The old Sergeant Major. It is not necessarily that the Commander-in-Chief will not. I don't know. The General Commander of the Foundation. Usually there will be 50 Supreme Speaker concurrently." Chen Feng was also a little dazed when he heard this. To be honest, he did know a lot of information about the Foundation, but there were some deeper, or unwritten things, which it's completely ignorant. After all, the existence of the O5 Council, even the vast majority of personnel in the Foundation do not know that there is such an organization. Only E-level and above are qualified to know about the O5 Council. Meeting. Sergeant Major Lois took out a sealed metal box from the hidden safe in a hidden compartment with burning eyes. Sergeant Major Lois then solemnly handed it over to Chen Feng. "This is the product of research in the mysterious laboratory that the O5 Council asked us to track down at the beginning. It was named Element 115. And it was also the culprit that brought our task force into this world at the time, and it was this element that caused the contamination mutation of 008. The 935 team, which cooperated with Red Skull back then, created the appalling Nova Vi and the terrifying Living Deadman Legion through this and the mutated 008. Commander, this is a substance that does not exist on the blue planet Terra. It has many incredible powers. This is an indispensable force for you to rebuild the new O5 Council and the new Foundation." Chen Feng took the box and nodded solemnly. "Don't worry, Sergeant Major Lois, I will make good use of it." Chapter 70 Elaine Sheffield and Task Force 141. Just when Chen Feng thought that the conversation with Sergeant Major Lois was over, he was about to get up and leave. Sergeant Major Lois suddenly stopped Chen Feng. "Dear Commander-in-Chief, I wonder if you are willing to accept the allegiance of the Sheffield family?" Chen Feng paused when he heard these words. He glanced at Sergeant Major Lois suspiciously, and suddenly thought that Sergeant Major Lois' surname seemed to be Sheffield. At this time, Chen Feng realized that Lois, the 5-star general of the Federation, does not just mean a high-ranking position. It is difficult to become a high-ranking federal official, but it is even more difficult to integrate into the system. The best way to integrate into this system is to join the entire interest group. 60 years have passed. Sergeant Major Lois, who knew everything about him back then, has now become Lois, a 5-star general of the Federation. This means that he is no longer a pure sergeant major, but represents a typical American military family. Chen Feng knew the Sheffield family, which was a well-known family in the White Eagle Federation, and the most famous patriarch was naturally Lois Sheffield in front of him. the only remaining 5-star general with outstanding achievements in the Federation. Over the past 60 years, the survivors of the contingent have already integrated into the collective of the Federation, and we've the complex military interest group. And this interest group is undoubtedly headed by General Lewis. The Sheffield family is a standard military family. Up to now, the entire family has at least 3 generals in the Federation, and there are as many as a dozen high-ranking officers. At this time, Chen Feng took a deep look at the old Sergeant Major and said, "Is it loyal to me instead of the Foundation?" Elder Sergeant Lewis smiled. "Definitely, I am loyal to O9, not the Foundation." "Does it make any difference?" "Definitely there are differences. For example, the supervisors of the O5 Council are the same as the Foundation. You should master some additional powers, such as rebuilding a red right hand." Hearing this, Chen Feng nodded and said with a smile, "That's a good proposal, old Sergeant Major." After Sergeant Major Lewis heard Chen Feng's affirmative answer, his face was relieved and his wish was fulfilled. "Actually, I have been thinking about rebuilding the red right hand, and I have made preparations for it. Now that you have pledged Sheffield's allegiance, it is time." Sergeant Lewis clapped his hands. A tall and cold beauty with blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a Federal Women's military uniform, walked in slowly. Sergeant Major Lewis looked at the aloof female officer who came in, with a kind smile on his face. "Elaine, come forward." Sergeant Major Lewis introduced to Chen Feng with a smile. "Elaine, my best granddaughter, and the best junior in Sheffield. Graduated from West Point Military Academy as the first grade in the grade, and then entered the Federal Special Operations Command. Now Elaine is the youngest Major General in the Federal Army, and her position is the commander of the North American Division of the Federal Special Operations Command." "Commander, oh no, it's the Speaker. I think Elaine will be your excellent right-hand man." After finishing speaking, Elaine quietly walked in front of Chen Feng, and knelt down on one knee like a knight who received the canonization in the ancient West. "Elaine Sheffield, in the name of the Sheffield family, I swear by my soul, that I will always be loyal to your Excellency Chen Feng and never betray you." Looking at this scene, Chen Feng was a little at a loss, and suddenly remembered something, picked up an officer's sabre that he had been carrying all along, and handed it over. "I accept your allegiance, Miss Elaine Sheffield." Elaine took Chen Feng's sabre solemnly, and solemnly swore, "Loyalty is my honor. From now on, I will be your sharp blade, worthy of the name of Sheffield, for your glory war." Chen Feng glanced at the old Sergeant Major Lewis who was smiling like a dog. Now Chen Feng is convinced that Lewis is worthy of being the Red Right Hand's task force, and is the most loyal and fanatical task force member who has deeply rooted the Red Right Hand's concept into his mind. His style of acting has a strong red right hand color, so his allegiance is to himself as the Commander-in-Chief of the Foundation, which means to become the Supreme Speaker of the O5 Council, not to the Foundation. At the same time, after ensuring loyalty, binding the Sheffield family as a subsidiary family of the O5 Council can be described as vicious. Even so, Chen Feng accepted the Sheffield family's defection without hesitation. It's okay for subordinates to have selfishness, no matter who they are, as long as they are loyal. What's the problem with selfishness? The defection of the Sheffield family will undoubtedly allow him to have huge amounts of influence in the Federation. At least the military foundation can have great authority. Many resources of the federal military can be utilized. Chen Feng suddenly understood why the old Sergeant Major Lewis joined the Federal Army. It was indeed a scheming plan. You must know that the federal military is different from the military of many other countries in that many senior officials of the federal military actually have their own private armed forces. Moreover, the country of the White Eagle Federation is also the country with the most private military contractors, which means that it is very easy to cultivate one's own private army, especially those senior officials of the federal military will use it to make profits. Otherwise, how could there be so many high-level federal officers who retired and became honorary advisors to those military-industrial complexes and private military contractors? Otherwise, where did those $1,000 coffee cups and $1 million sheep come from? A hexagonal building investigated a military case, and the amount involved was as high as hundreds of billions of USD, but in the end it was ignored. If you think about it for a while, you will know how deep the water is inside. The old Sergeant Major Lewis joined the federal military. I am afraid he also borrowed chickens to lay eggs and used the federal military to form his own private force. He also thought that after the Foundation came to this world, he could use this private force group to become a subsidiary of the Foundation. Power? The Red Right Hand who has been planning for 60 years for this is really terrible. At this time, the old Sergeant Major Lewis cleared his throat with a cough and said, "Elaine, please introduce the power you have to the Speaker." Elaine saluted a military salute, and then said in detail, "Yes, Mr. Speaker, as the commander of the Federal North American Special Operations Command, I can mobilize at least 18,000 combat personnel. It includes 10,000 shadow troops who do not exist on the federal list as private armed forces in Sheffield. Of the other 8,000 combat personnel, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6 and the Air Force's 24th Special Tactics Team. And we have our own intelligence branch, drones and reconnaissance aircraft, our own dedicated satellites, and our own dedicated cyber warfare personnel. The Federal North American Special Operations Command has its own intelligence station in every country in the entire American continent. If you give an order, we can immediately conduct reconnaissance, hunting, arrest, waiting for the task. Even in the non-military field, we can conduct investigations such as investigating the flow of funds in international banks to see if the money flows to terrorist networks, and conduct psychological operations or military intelligence operations and so on. In addition, I am currently in charge of creating an unprecedented Special Forces unit, codenamed Task Force 141, drawn from the entire Allied member states. When talking about Task Force 141, Chen Feng's face became a little uneasy. What? Task Force 141? Huh? What's the matter, my lord? Is there something wrong with this task force? It's okay, you can continue talking. Could it be the Task Force 141? Chen Feng thought to himself, but in the next second he heard Elaine Nassay. The current 437 field commanders of Task Force 141 are Captain John Price from the SAS, and Lieutenant Simon Riley, codenamed Ghost, also from the SAS. Most of these players come from Olia, Montana, and Britannia, and definitely the mainland of the Federation. At present, this force belongs to a secret force formed to perform special tasks. This is the specific list of members. Chen Feng took the list and looked at it. Good guy, it is exactly the same as the list he saw while playing Call of Duty. Task Force 141 is full of great people. Thinking of the insane achievements in the game, Chen Feng looked suspiciously at Elaine, who looked like a mature lady in her 20s. This woman actually holds such a powerful military force in her hands. It can be said that most of the special forces of the Federation have been captured by her. What's even more frightening is that according to the list information Chen Feng saw, the first one was Elaine, who was only 25 years old. A federal major general who is only 25 years old is simply incredible. But if you think about it carefully, Elaine was born in a Sheffield family, and her grandfather is the only remaining 5-star general of the Federation Army, and the former director of the Global Strategy Bureau. Moreover, his father is also a lieutenant general of the Federation, which can be said to be a prestigious family. Born in such a well-to-do family, with excellent family education, billion points of interpersonal relationships, coupled with his outstanding ability, he graduated from West Point Military Academy with the first place in his age, and even got a double doctorate. With both housework and ability, it couldn't be easier to get ahead. So Elaine became a federal major general at only 25 years old, which couldn't be more normal. Thinking about it this way, Chen Feng could only sigh with emotion. The old Sergeant Major Lois is indeed red-handed loyalist. He is simply loyal. The power that the Sheffield family has managed for 60 years has been handed over to him in this way. What a loyal old Sergeant Major. Chapter 71 Infiltrate Manhattan, Military Investigation Team. Diddy. The driver in front honked the horn to disperse the civilians in front of the Humvee military vehicle. After Chen Feng bid farewell to the old Sergeant Major Lois, he brought people to New York, Manhattan. Before leaving, Chen Feng ordered Elaine to carry out a mission to search for information about the living dead man core left by the 935 team. When leaving, Chen Feng also triggered a new system task as a matter of necessity. Reorganize the O5 Council, complete 3 containment tasks, and upgrade the authority to A level to take over the position of the Supreme Speaker. Subtasks: investigate the 935 team and Nova 6, and collect more 115 elements. Sir, we may have to get out of the car and walk. The 11th Street Road is impassable for vehicles. As an old city in Manhattan, there were originally many alleys, and the main roads were blocked by the federal government. At the moment, the roads were full of roadblocks, various sundries, and abandoned vehicles. Even a military Humvee would be impassable on such a road, unless a main battle tank is used to open the way and run over it all the way. Looking at the congested and impassable road, the driver could only give Chen Feng an apologetic look and let everyone get off the bus. Okay, Miss 2B, let's get off. Chen Feng opened the car door, a gust of cold wind blows in his face, and the Manhattan area at the moment has been covered with snow. Winter in New York is gloomy city with gloomy snow, and bleak streets on the road, and occasionally civilians in a hurry. The current situation in Manhattan, to be honest, is not as bad as Chen Feng imagined. When it comes to zombies, everyone always thinks of the infection that spreads immediately in a very short period of time. In fact, what Chen Feng sees now is still a city in the hands of human beings. Unless it is a large-scale R infection, the way to make zombies is to rely solely on biting, scratching and bodily fluid infection. It is impossible to destroy human civilization with a zombie virus alone before the scale is formed or enough powerful infected people are born. Coupled with the fact that almost all citizens of the Federation have guns, he will not be in chaos if everyone has a gun. In this kind of situation where the martial arts of the whole people are abundant and almost every household has guns, if the zombies want to cause a large number of spread immediately, it cannot be done in a short time. What's more, with the efforts of the JTF Joint Combat Force, agents throughout the territory, and the federal military. In the end, except for Raccoon City, other cities in the Federation did not cause large-scale infection and fall. Even in Raccoon City, it is said that only 70% of the urban area was occupied, and the survivors in the city continued to resist the infection. The local police even carried out several confiscation operations, confiscating zombies in several blocks. In Manhattan, except for a few infected neighborhoods, almost no infected people can be seen in most places. What was really fatal was the interruption of logistics caused by the blockade of the whole territory, the out of control of law and order, the appearance of rebel troops in the city, and various BMCs who burned, killed and looted, as well as out-of-control gangs and mobs. It's just that although these are the real threats, compared to the hell in the infected area, at least the civilians in these human-controlled blocks can still live. Even if Chen Feng only traveled for a short period of time, he could encounter civilians being robbed of their property and daily necessities by mobs several times, either encountering TFs and unknown militants exchanging fire, or even scenes where agents wiped out mobs throughout the territory. Definitely, almost no one would provoke Chen Feng and his party. The group of murderous and armed MTF task force who followed him was not easy to provoke. This is also the evil result of the whole people holding guns. Everyone has a gun. When there is no food, your good neighbor with a gun will come to ask you to borrow food. If you don't stock up on guns at this time, then I am sorry, you can only put a smile on your face and kindly give your material assistance to your good neighbors, and maintain a friendly neighbor relationship. After all, distant relatives are not as good as close neighbors. At this time, even the priests of the church can only use R5 to spread the gospel. Compared with the scenes of soldiers and civilians in ordinary human-controlled areas mingling together and neighbors being kind to each other, Chen Feng couldn't see it when he was close to the infected area. Chen Feng saw the Black Watch helicopter flying overhead more than once. The high isolation wall divided the infected area into two worlds, and the Black Watch soldiers surrounded and isolated these areas. Although the Black Watch is an armed force controlled by the Council of the 12 Round Tables, this force is clearly still a legal federal armed force and is a part of the military's control. They don't go anywhere except the infected area, but they also strictly prohibit other armed forces from entering the infected area on the grounds of isolating the infection. This kind of behavior makes them like neutral troops, just performing their tasks silently, and no one attacks them. At this time, Chen Feng would naturally not take the initiative to let his own people kill Black Watch. After all, although there are various signs and behaviors of this armed force now that they have a bigger conspiracy, and they are also cooperating with the Umbrella, and more intelligence shows that they seem to be one of the promoters of the blockade across the country. But in the absence of evidence, they cannot be judged as illegal hostile armed forces. Furthermore, Chen Feng also needs such an enemy to exist. If no one is doing things anymore, how can he fish in troubled waters and play by ear? If all these potential enemies are wiped out, it will definitely not be a good thing for the Foundation. Considering all kinds of wars that may break out on the Earth in the future, in Chen Feng's view, it is still necessary to maintain the enemy and maintain a certain scale of conflicts, so that the human beings on the blue planet Terra can maintain a sense of crisis and gain opportunities for advancement. Definitely, in order to preserve human civilization, we can only suffer from the Federation and those advanced countries. Just when Chen Feng came to the edge of the infected area, their team quickly aroused the vigilance of the Black Watch. Vertical bar stop advancing, you are entering the exclusion zone. It is forbidden to enter here. The Federal Army's activity area is not within this range. Vertical bar. Chen Feng didn't, Nuoqian's, step forward to negotiate, but just winked at a task force officer next to him, and he immediately stepped forward and took out the documents very bluntly. We have obtained authorization from Washington. This is our document, let it go immediately. On the separation wall, there were also these blackguard soldiers holding guns guarding the checkpoints. After seeing their chiefs glanced at the documents, they waved helplessly to the soldiers on the side and said, "Let go, let's go, let them in." After the officer watched Chen Feng and others walk into the quarantine area, the Black Watch officer picked up the radio, report that 10 military investigation team members entered the infected area. Received, try not to let them see what they shouldn't see, and let the experimental group restrain themselves. Chapter 72 Ally. There is Containment Object 008 seeking subscription. Chen Feng, who entered the infected area of Manhattan with a military investigation team, has already passed the induction ability of the psychic commander, and knows that his pedestrians are under the strict monitoring of the Black Watch. Not long ago, Chen Feng received a request for help from Agent Catherine of the Global Strategy Bureau. Originally, Agents Catherine, Gwen, and Alul planned to go directly to the Red Rock Fort base, but it just so happened that they met the moment when the infection broke out, followed by martial law and a nationwide blockade of the entire Federation. Then they were trapped in the infected area. Originally, with the abilities of Gwen and Alauga, they could escape here, but at this time they found something different to seek. Black Watch appears to be running some shady operations in the infested zone, so Catherine found a safe house of the Global Strategy Bureau inside the infected area, and use the internal equipment to send a request for help to the Redstone Fort military base. So Agent Sky and Agent Natasha Romanoff of Redstone Fort volunteered their request, and a team of MTF task force who acted together infiltrated into the infected area to join Catherine, Gwen, and Olivia, who were trapped here. After converging, they found that the infection area became somewhat unusual. First, a large number of flesh-like creepers began to appear in the infection area and began to erode various buildings, forming something like a nest. Subsequently, these nests will breed a large number of mutated creatures, the most of which are zombies born from the nests. After Blackwatch took over these areas, for some unknown purpose, they did not immediately sterilize all kinds of mutated areas. Instead, like raising you, he started to build secret laboratories everywhere, and conducted various experiments and research on various mutant creatures. At this time, Gwen discovered an unusual area controlled by Blackwatch, which was originally an ordinary waste processing plant. However, after the outbreak, it was quickly controlled by Blackwatch, and there were often Blackwatch convoys entering and leaving there. After discovering this abnormal location, Sky and the Widow first reported to SHIELD, and finally asked the Left Behind All Territory Agent and the MTF Mobile Task Force 700 who were working together to upload the information to the Foundation. They then went to investigate with the SHIELD Anomaly Handling Team and a team of MTF who came to support. After the suspected firefight with unknown creatures, it didn't take long for Catherine, Spider-Gwen, and Eliza to suddenly lose contact with Sky and the Widow. After that, they asked the Redstone Fort military base for reinforcements from agents throughout the territory. But since this place has been blocked by the Blackwatch, as a last resort, the Redstone Fort base had to report the information. After Chen Feng got the news, he decided to come to investigate in person. After all, it must not be a trivial matter that can make the Widow's sister and Sky lose contact. After Phil Coulson requested cooperation with the Foundation and obtained Chen Feng's consent, Chen Feng temporarily obtained the command of the SHIELD Anomaly Handling Team. The premise is that as long as it is a reasonable order, the other party will assist the Foundation to complete it. All goals are to quell the crisis that broke out in the White Eagle Federation as soon as possible. The Widow's sister and Sky's investigation was also approved by Chen Feng. At this time, something happened and they disappeared. In addition to those SHIELD agents who acted together and the vanguard of an MTF mobile task force, there were 60 people in total. Chen Feng couldn't help but not pay attention to this matter. After much deliberation, Chen Feng decided to lead a team to investigate in person. With the fighting power of Widow's sister and Sky, as well as the fighting power of the 60 MTF and SHIELD elite agents, Chen Feng judged that it was impossible for the entire army to be wiped out. But it is very likely that they encountered a special situation and were unable to communicate with the outside world. Maybe they encountered a containment object or some other special situation. Coupled with the Blackwatch's blockade of this place, Chen Feng temporarily planned to stand still until the Federation completely broke with the Blackwatch, so he brought a group of people here disguised as military investigators. Definitely, when Chen Feng participated in the video speech before, the Foundation naturally provided some technical support, and the equipment during the speech has been specially adjusted, so during the global live broadcast, the image of Chen Feng seen by the audience is different from the reality-less gap. Otherwise, if his appearance is known all over the world, how can he carry out this kind of infiltration mission? At this time, although Blackwatch attached great importance to this military investigation team, the situation in the infected area, in fact, Blackwatch did not dare to say that it had 100% control. The attack of a large number of mutated creatures and infected people made by the Nest forced Blackwatch to conduct 24-hour high-intensity inspection and control. And because of some ulterior motives, the Blackwatch cannot kill all the layers in the infected area. Thus, the scene in front of Chen Feng appeared. When a Blackwatch drone was still monitoring Chen Feng and his group above their heads, suddenly a group of Blackwatch soldiers patrolling in front heard the sound coming from the headset. Patrol number 19. There is a situation. What's wrong? It seems that there are infected people. As soon as the words fell, two beautiful white-collar women in all skirts ran towards the patrol team in disgrace. Help! Help me! The woman screamed across the patrol and fell behind them. At this moment, densely packed zombies rushed out from the circle. Find the enemy situation. Open fire freely. While speaking, the patrol team of Blackwatch immediately formed a battle formation, leaning on the cover and pouring firepower at the densely packed zombies. Accompanied by machine guns, assault rifles, and the suppression of the grenades thrown by the grenade launcher, the dense gunfire suppressed all the flesh and blood zombies. Those zombies seem to be born in the lair, but they look like people, with pale skin. How can a flesh and blood body be an opponent of guns? Soon these zombies were all shot to death under the dense rain of bullets. The small wave of corpses composed of hundreds of zombies, against the Blackwatch patrol team composed of more than a dozen people, all of them did not even set off 10 ripples, was wiped out. The enemy situation has been eliminated, and all sources of infection have begun to be eliminated. While speaking, The leader of the Black Watch team pointed a gun at the forehead of the all-female white-collar worker. In the shocked and unbelievable eyes of the tearful old lady, in her pupils is the cold gas mask under the green night vision goggles. "What are you doing?" "No, Mary." With a gunshot, one of the daughters turned into a cold corpse. The MTFs who witnessed all this could not bear it anymore. "WTF, what the hell are these people doing?" "Shit. Sir, they're shooting civilians and they're not even checking for infection." The 6 MTFs wearing army uniforms next to Chen Feng ran up to the head sergeant and stopped them loudly without thinking. "Stop shooting." "Soldiers, what are you doing?" "Who are you?" "Federal Army." "The military didn't inform you that you are not allowed to interfere with Black Watch's operations in the infected area?" The captain of Black Watch asked very bluntly. "We are members of the military investigation team." "HMPH. The military investigation team?" Black Watch's squad leader sneered, and without thinking, he aimed directly at the last survivor on the side and was about to pull the trigger to kill him. At this moment, a woman with red and white hair and a hooded cloak jumped down from the top of the building. The leader of the Black Watch squad who was just about to be executed was cut in half by the sharp biological knife in an instant. "Oh shit, she's coming." "The witch, damn the witch." "Fire." Seeing the leader of the Black Watch who had been split in two, the remaining Black Watch soldiers lost all intention of continuing the execution, and pointed their guns at the girl one after another and pulled the triggers. I saw that the girl's hands turned into biological blades were transformed into a shield made of horny at this moment, and the bullets could not effectively kill this horny shield at all. Immediately afterwards, the girl jumped lightly, and shuttled among the soldiers of the Black Watch like a cat. The horny shield in his hand turned into sharp claws, easily cutting through the flesh and blood of those Black Watch soldiers. Even body armor and guns couldn't stop those two terrifying sharp claws. "Go to hell, Maiko." A Black Watch soldier pulled out his 84, aimed at Alauga who was slaughtering his comrades and fired a high-explosive bomb. Accompanied by the sound of an explosion, gunpowder smoke diffused over the station, and it took a while for the gunpowder smoke to gradually dissipate. At this time, a soldier on the ground wearing a Black Watch uniform stretched out his hand with difficulty. The last Black Watch survivor immediately ran forward to help his comrade up, and the next moment the red and black biological blade pierced his heart. Under the unbelievable gaze of the Black Watchman, his teammate turned into a mature lady with red and white hair who was wearing a hooded cloak before. A few MTF at the moment on the side protected the remaining survivor, still raising their guns and watching everything in front of them. Although they couldn't see the behavior of the Black Watch troops, they didn't know whether the inhuman girl in front of them was an enemy or a friend, and with the opponent's terrifying combat power, if they attacked their own side. Thinking that Chen Feng, the general commander of the Foundation, is not far away, several members of the MTF Mobile Task Force dare not be careless. "Put down the gun, she's not the enemy." The familiar figure of Chen Feng came from behind the task force members, and the team members put down their pistols with relief. On the contrary, the unlucky survivor, Miss Sister, escaped from death at the moment, and was almost frightened out of her wits. "You are Miss Alauga." Chen Feng stepped forward, looked up and down the red and white-haired girl in a cloak and asked, "Are you the Foundation's backup?" "You came too slowly." "It's not too late." While Chen Feng was speaking, he took out his service pistol and fired a shot into the sky without even aiming. Immediately afterwards, the Black Watch drone that had just flown over to investigate the situation was shot down. "This is not a place to talk. Let's talk slowly in another place. Bring the survivors, and let's leave here." Eliza could tell who was the leader here, but she didn't say anything. She just led the way silently, leading Chen Feng and the others to the safe house of the Global Strategy Bureau. But at this time Chen Feng was not as calm as he appeared on the surface. "Ding. Found the abnormal containment object 008. Mother, please take containment measures immediately. The creature is extremely dangerous." Ding. The abnormal situation of 008 was detected, triggering a new main line. Commander, please investigate what happened to 008's mother. Chen Feng never imagined that. He always thought that the abnormal containment object 008 would be hidden somewhere by the 12 Round Table Council, or the branch controlled by the Chaos Separatists. However, now he realizes that his previous conjectures were all wrong, extremely wrong. Abnormal containment 008, the mother body of the zombie virus, is actually the frail and mature Miss Feng, who used to be a top researcher of the Black Watch. Miss Alauda? And thinking of her ability, and the Black Watch organization, Chen Feng even thought of his former a work that has been played by the world, killing the original form. But the protagonist of the original massacre is not Alex, Brother A. How did it become a young lady named Alauda? And according to the files Chen Feng consulted, the experiences of Alex and Alauda are completely different. Chen Feng suddenly thought of something. There is Spider-Gwen here. The existence of Spider-Gwen and Spider-Man Peter Parker are almost two completely different parallel worlds. In the normal American comics world, if there is Spider-Man, there is no Spider-Gwen, and there is absolutely no Spider-Man in the world with Spider-Gwen. This touches on the theory of parallel worlds, and perhaps it's no surprise that a blacklight virus has appeared in this strange world of American comics now. After being confirmed by the system, Chen Feng confirmed that Aliva is the mutated mother strain of the abnormal Containment 008 zombie virus, and also integrated the host of the Black Light virus. Thinking that Aliva was actually the product of Containment 008 and the Black Light virus integrate, Chen Feng felt that this containment task might not be that simple. Chapter 73 Operation Raccoon City. The tyrant launches. Just when Chen Feng met Aliva, who was judged by the system to be the mother of 008, Raccoon City, the main city in the Arklay Mountains of the Federation, had fallen into a state of near destruction. Raccoon City, with a population of nearly 1 million, is the area where the virus infection spreads the most because it is the headquarters of the Umbrella Corporation. As early as the 20th, the T-virus had leaked from the beehive of the Umbrella Underground Research Facility in Raccoon City. The umbrellas were arranged around the outskirts of Raccoon City, and various facilities in the Acre Mountains fell one after another. And everything is derived from the choice of the Chaos Splitters of the Round Table Council. The Umbrella of Umbrella has been split, and the Foundation faction headed by Ophelia and the Round Table faction headed by the Spencer family are in full swing. At this time, under the control of the Spencer family, a virus leak occurred in the hive, and nearly 2,000 Umbrella employees of the Foundation faction all died in the hive. Afterwards, the Spencer family, which had already taken the upper hand, contacted various insiders in the city, accelerating the spread of the virus in Raccoon City, and took the opportunity to seize a large number of research results, and at the same time released all the BOW biological weapons of the Umbrella Research Institute in Raccoon City, launching an indiscriminate attack on the living people in the city. The headquarters of the Umbrella Company managed by Chaos Separatists, Raccoon City, under the multiple attacks of ghosts, viruses, and BOW, in just a few days, more than 80% of the residents either lost their lives or turned into zombies. Knowing that most of the residents of Raccoon City are Umbrella's high-level talents and researchers, the Umbrella Company's vitality was severely damaged. At the same time, the Umbrella armed forces controlled by the two factions, also due to the split. These former colleagues fought each other, and Raccoon City has now been reduced to purgatory. Somewhere in the Arklay Mountains, in the secret castle of the Spencer family, an old man sitting in a wheelchair, with various tubes inserted all over his body, and hanging a special nutrient solution, is watching through the setting sun. Raccoon City in the distance. He is Umbrella, the ruler of the Spencer family, Oswald Spencer. Oswald Spencer did not maintain his youth like Ophelia. Fate seemed to have played a joke on him. Even the specially prepared T-virus could not adapt to his physique. So he had to rely on this wheelchair with a specially made life support device to maintain his life. So he had extremely strong hatred for Ophelia Oswald Spencer, who was able to maintain his youth. It is also for this reason that the behemoth of the protective umbrella is split under the struggle for power and profit of the Chaos Separatists, and this huge force kills each other for this reason. At the same time, because of Oswald's body, he has a terrifying obsession with longevity, which makes people develop new viruses one after another crazily, and conduct various inhumane biochemical experiments, until he met the 12 Round Table Council, and after getting an agreement from the 12 Round Table Council, he decided to support that crazy plan. After the biochemical crisis was launched in the entire Federation and severely damaged the Federation's military strength, it seized the control of the Federation through the chaotic situation. After that, Spencer will get the promise of the Council of the 12 Round Tables to help him improve the T-virus and prolong his life in order to seek longevity. Patriarch, all the Ophelia faction forces in Raccoon City have been suppressed, and BOW's test has been proceeding in an orderly manner. Everything is going smoothly as planned. Hearing the report from his subordinates, Oswald Spencer still stared at the sunset intently without raising his eyes. As a hero, he has experienced too many such struggles for power. The big three who originally created the umbrella. Now only Oswald Spencer is left, which is enough to explain everything. Definitely, even Oswald Spencer and the Council of the 12 Round Tables don't know that Ophelia has already received the support of the Foundation. If they had known, they probably wouldn't have launched it so early. Plan. Don't take it lightly. That woman Ophelia is not that simple. Although she hastily launched an action against the Foundation last time and suffered a disastrous failure, her disappearance does not mean that she has failed. Let the Black Watch who supported us launch an offensive together, and we cannot simply let our people to bleed. Use BOW more to gain valuable combat data. Obey. Patriarch. The Umbrella Director, who was loyal to Spencer, stepped back slowly. Oswald Spencer watched the sunset quietly and closed his eyes. Brothers are fighting each other. Who will have the last laugh? At the moment, in the city of Raccoon City, at the police station, a team of USS Special Forces under the umbrella entered here, but when they entered the police station, they found that they were greeted by dozens of guns. They are all surviving police officers in the police station and members of STARS. Don't shoot, we are not the enemy. Shut up, umbrella lackeys, you're the ones who messed up the whole city. The captain of the USS team, codenamed Death God Hank, watched this scene, silently holding the flash bomb in one hand. As people loyal to the Ophelia faction, The USS troops have been purged. Until now, due to the absence of the backbone, these umbrella troops of the Ophelia faction have not fully reacted. At this moment, Chris, a member of STARS, suddenly said, "Wait a minute, don't get excited. My teammate Valentin and I did see the umbrella people killing each other when we were in action yesterday. Let's listen to them first." How to say, "We will not disclose company information. But I can tell you with certainty that we are not the enemy." "Then please leave, we don't welcome you here." When the two sides were arguing, Hank sighed and made up his mind to explain. Now there is nothing to hide. The company is extremely chaotic, and no one knows who is in charge. Seeing this, the members of this team of USS Special Forces immediately became depressed. The umbrella is split, and a group of people are madly releasing the virus developed in cooperation with the military in the laboratory to attack everyone. We were the faction ordered to control the infection, and we were even attacked by our own faction. Hearing this, everyone became silent. "It's a crazy world. What are you doing with your umbrellas? At least hundreds of thousands of people died here. We also want to get to the bottom of things." At this moment, Hank's radio suddenly rang. "I'm the Umbrella Military Director, Ophelia. All friendly units or Umbrella survivors are requested to take refuge in the following places in front of Umbrella. After 10 minutes, the BOW Tyrant will be released to control the situation in Raccoon City." "Did you hear that? It's Director Ophelia. She's back." "I knew she was fine." "Backup is here. It seems we are saved." At the moment, the Blackwatch commander in charge of the operation and the Umbrella forces controlled by the Spencer family also received the 10 radios sent on the Umbrella channel. Is this woman Ophelia crazy? Sending this message on the public channel is to gather all her people together and let us kill her? It's really stupid. They have already suffered heavy losses, and now they can still have extra troops to organize a counterattack. BOW, things like hunters and lickers. Can they turn the situation back? "Sir, we found some aerial targets passing by at a high altitude. Do we want to launch anti-aircraft missiles to shoot down those targets?" The Blackwatch commander sneered. "Definitely want to shoot them down, stupid woman. She thinks BOW can make a comeback. We just shoot down all the planes transporting BOW. Give me an air defense position and shoot down all the air targets." Deployed on the Blackwatch air defense position on the outskirts of the city, a total of 6 Avenger air defense missile systems were activated under the guidance of ground radar. The target has entered the maximum range and can be launched. The target height is 5 km and the distance is 6.1 km. The missile is launched. Fire. Under the night, bright lights rose from the anti-aircraft missiles, and one missile after another was lifted into the air, knocking down the shadows that flitted across the sky. Target 1 destroyed. Target 3 number 4 destroyed. 12 targets, all destroyed. It's a piece of cake. Is that what they do? However, the ground-based anti-aircraft missiles of Blackwatch did not expect that 6E/A-181 electronic warfare all-airspace fighters had already been deployed to the designated attack positions at the moment. The decoy has been destroyed, the target air defense position is found, and the anti-radiation missile is launched. Firefox 1 has been launched, changed the altitude, detected the abnormal data area, and is preparing to launch the AGMV missile. Not long after being happy, the radar soldier suddenly screamed on the Blackwatch air defense position. "Zero seeking flowers. Missiles detected. Hurry up and hide." While speaking, he desperately pressed the alarm, but only a few seconds later, accompanied by several huge amounts of explosions, all the anti-aircraft vehicles were blown into fireballs. The air defense positions were reduced to a sea of flames. The same scene happened at the radar station in Blackwatch. "Sir, we've lost contact with the air defense positions." "Sir, it seems that something is wrong. The radar is abnormal." "Hell, what is this?" "We have been electronically suppressed. There is a data anomaly." As soon as the words fell, 2 AMGV air-to-surface missiles sent a surprise with their tail flames. "The ground is cleared for BOW." Received. The transport unit has arrived and is ready to drop the BOW. In the air, 12 C-130 military transport planes painted with the Umbrella logo slowly flew over Raccoon City, and huge metal containers were thrown out of the hatch one after another. After being dropped out of the hatch, the parachutes on these huge metal containers opened one after another. On the chaotic streets full of zombies and various armed forces fighting, everyone saw the huge metal containers dropped from the sky. "What the hell are those things?" A group of Blackwatch soldiers watched a huge amount of metal container being dropped on the street near them, and the movement of the soldiers even caused commotion among the bereaved households nearby. However, they still received orders to reconnaissance. When the team of blackguards walked to the area where the projectile was located, what they saw was a cylindrical metal container with huge amounts of a figure looming inside. As the hatch was opened, white cold air escaped, which seemed to indicate that the terrifying creatures inside were thawing and waking up. All the soldiers of the Blackwatch raised their weapons one after another, arranged their formation, and carefully looked at the metal container in front of them. In the next second, they saw a titan with a height of nearly 3 meters appearing in front of their eyes. The Titan was wearing a black leather jacket, with a bald head and pale skin that did not resemble a human being. "What is this?" "Fire! Kill him!" The captain of the Black Watch decisively issued an order, and the gun shot instantly. There was a sound, and dozens of muscles sprayed out flames, accompanied by a burst of firepower and smoke. Ophelia sat gracefully in the air command center converted from a transport plane, looking at the screens one by one, showing an extremely charming smile. "Sir, Tyrant number 9, Tyrant number 13, and Tyrant number 20 are starting to engage the enemy. Do you want to issue an attack order?" "Let the game begin." The operator pushes the button. All Tyrants have received orders to attack at this moment. Before the smoke dissipated, the captain of the Black Watch team vaguely saw the figure in the smoke, and then heard dull footsteps. It was that monster. "Use the 40mm grenade." As soon as the words fell, several members of the Black Watch team fired 40mm grenades, but the sound of the explosion did not affect the monster's charge at all. "Use the AT-4 bazooka." "Kill him." A team member picked up the AT-4 anti-tank rocket launcher, aimed at the Tyrant and fired an anti-tank rocket. The next second he was surprised to find out that a sneer appeared on the face of that terrifying weirdo. Then he grabbed the rocket abruptly and swung it upwards, changing the trajectory, and the rocket exploded into the sky in an instant. In the exclamation of the squad leader, all the soldiers of Black Watch frantically poured ammunition at the target, accompanied by a terrifying sense of oppression. Even when the Tyrant was running at high speed, cracks appeared on the ground to a certain extent. "Take cover." Amid the desperate cries, the Tyrant jumped up, and with a heavy punch, the ground was smashed open with a bang, and a soldier named Black Watch died instantly. The desperate squad leader raised the weapon in his hand to block, and his whole body was smashed into a ball of meat sauce. When the anti-tank man was about to launch another AT-4, he saw the Tyrant lift up an abandoned car and smash it directly. Accompanied by a loud noise and filled with smoke, only sporadic gunshots remained, and soon, all the gunshots disappeared. Ophelia smiled and raised the red wine in her hand, feeling that it was extremely delicious. Chapter 74 Reunited Chaos Insurgents, Special Item Upgrade Card. At this moment in Raccoon City, after the reinforcements led by Ophelia launched an offensive, the situation suddenly turned huge. Ophelia dropped a total of 126 T-103 Tyrants into Raccoon City to accompany the Chaos Insurgency forces on the attack, and under the suppression of the air power supported by the Foundation. Just 15 minutes before the start of the war, various important facilities of the hostile forces were completely destroyed. The command headquarters, radar stations, airports, logistics centers, and areas where heavy troops are assembled have all been bombed. In order to save the defeat, the Spencer family and Black Watch had to release all the biological weapons developed by the Umbrella in Raccoon City to fight back. However, the biological weapons developed by the Umbrella in this world, the Tyrant is only a prototype product. That's all. These monsters were no match for the Tyrant at all. Under the powerful offensive of the troops led by Ophelia, the Spencer family and the Black Watch troops in Raccoon City retreated steadily. In order to support Ophelia's operation, the Foundation not only provided 167 Tyrants, but also supported Ophelia with a synthesis brigade-sized weaponry and 24F/A-181 all-airspace fighters and 12 variants of E/A-181 electronic fighters. Although the support is huge, everything is worth it. Even if it is just to obtain the Umbrella Company controlled by the Chaos Separatists, it is worth the Foundation to invest so much support to Ophelia. After Ophelia, who had been missing for many days, returned, the chaotic Umbrella troops in the city, such as special forces built with a lot of money like the USS, and standing troops like the UBCS all unequivocally stood on Ophelia's side. Especially after reversing the offensive of the Spencer family. The job acceptance went even smoother, because Ophelia, with the joint help of Xfeng and 2B, seized the control of the two mainframes of the Raccoon City Umbrella, the Red Queen and the White Queen, long before the offensive was launched. After seizing control of the Red-White Queen, Ophelia knew everything about Raccoon City, the place she was familiar with. In addition, in recent years, the internal struggle of the Umbrella has been extremely fierce, and many real power factions of the Chaos Separatists are very dissatisfied with the bad old man Spencer. You are clearly a member of the Chaos Separatists, but you rely on Black Watch, foreign organizations like the 12 Round Table Council to come back to seize power? When Ophelia was not there, these people had already dared not speak out. Even if they obediently handed over the rights to the cronies of the Spencer family, they were still full of resentment in private. Or he was obeying the orders of Spencer, a bad old man. After Ophelia announced her return, the situation was good for a while, and the forces of the Chaos Separatists were almost all on Ophelia's side. In just 8 hours, Raccoon City was already in chaos, but the precarious situation immediately stabilized. The troops of the Spencer family and Black Watch were either surrounded and annihilated by the Umbrella forces in Ophelia United City, or they broke up and fled outside the city. As for the zombies in the city, they are not enough to look at in front of chaos splitters who are proficient in using biochemical weapons. In order to deal with all kinds of mutated creatures, the Umbrella Company has long been prepared. The weapons of Ophelia's troops are almost all specially made antivirus bullets. Coupled with the cooperation of 126 tyrants, the strength shown is undoubtedly crushing. If it wasn't for Ophelia's rejection of her subordinates' proposal to use weapons of mass destruction in order to return to the large resources of the Umbrella Company in the city, the efficiency would be even faster. The confident Oswald Spencer at the moment heard all kinds of bad news in the castle, and the high-level umbrella of the Spencer faction was almost in chaos in the castle. At this time, a large number of USS troops loyal to Ophelia came to the outskirts of the castle on 6 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters under the cover of 2 AH-99 gunship helicopters. 6 AGM air-to-surface missiles blasted the castle's air defense facilities into pieces on the spot, and then launched fire suppression. The USS Special Forces members on the 6 Black Hawks immediately landed on the castle wall, suppressed the commanding heights, and wiped out all enemies. Ophelia jumped down from the cabin lightly, and looked at the ancient castle that had been captured in front of her. A triumphant smile appeared on her charming face. "I am back again." Leah on the side also followed Ophelia in high spirits. Behind them, a group of Chaos Splitter guards slowly crossed the battlefield full of flames, corpses and blood. At the moment, the outside of the castle had been cleaned. When Ophelia passed through the outside of the castle and entered Midget, she saw Sergi, an officer loyal to Spencer. This person is a perfect fit for the T-Virus, and he is also a former officer of the Ursus Alliance. Relying on him as a material, the Umbrella Company produced the first generation of trial tyrants. The 2 trial tyrants standing next to Sergi are not only a bit shorter than the tyrants that Ophelia placed, but also expose their weak heart. "Lady Ophelia, do you understand what you are doing? You will bring destruction to the Chaos Insurgents." Facing Sergi's angry reprimand, Ophelia sneered dismissively, "Hey, the Spencer family doesn't belong to the Chaos Splitters alone. I just came to take back my things. I don't want to get rough with you, Mrs. Ophelia. Since that's the case, let me show you my strength." As soon as the words fell, Sergi's body began to prepare for the alienation and mutation of the T-Virus, but at this moment, several gunshots were fired. The large-caliber anti-materiel sniper rifle directly hit the boastful Sergi, splitting him in two, and the exposed hearts of the 2 trial tyrants were also pierced by the anti-materiel sniper rifle. Then the soldiers accompanying Ophelia immediately fired at them with the 11S air assault rifles. Hundreds of rounds of T-Virus suppression bullets sifted Sergi and the 2 trial tyrants aside. "TSK, what's the point of this little strength?" Ophelia walked gracefully through the corpses of Sergi and the 2 tyrants with a look of disgust. The blasting team immediately stepped forward and blasted open the gate of the castle, and then 2 assault teams immediately broke into the inside of the castle. After about 5 minutes, the voice came from the radio, "All enemies in the area security have been cleared." Ophelia walked into the castle, and the gunshots were still ringing. Those Chaos Separatists who were on the wrong team, as well as those high-level Spencer family members, as well as the stubborn personal guards of the Spencer family were wiped out one after another. Gunshots and screams could be heard constantly, but the resistance inside the castle was useless. Facing the fierce offensive of the elite troops led by Ophelia and the USS troops who have fully surrendered to Ophelia, these resistances can't even splash a single splash. Ophelia finally came to the final area, where only Oswald Spencer and his loyal and rich remained. After seeing Ophelia's arrival, Spencer lying in the wheelchair had a gloomy and terrifying expression, but he still stared at Ophelia, and said in a deep voice, "The umbrella is yours, Ophelia lady. Winners and losers, but I hope you can let me, the younger generation of the family." Ophelia looked at Spencer who was begging for mercy indifferently, and said lightly, "If it's me who loses, will you let my people go?" "From the moment you make your choice, Spencer, you've already lost." Ophelia threw the glove on the ground indifferently. A burst of fire flashed in the room, and the last founder of Umbrella Company was wiped out. Leah next to 4.3 stepped forward and whispered in her ear, "Madame, the troops have already started to take back the company's assets. We found this list, and this is the information on the cooperation between the Spencer family and Blackwatch." "Leave it alone, I'll watch it later." At this time, Ophelia, who was in full control of the power, laughed happily. "Maybe I should call my dear commander later." In Chao, Chen Feng suddenly received a notification from the system. "The side mission has been completed. Assist Ophelia to regain control of the Chaos Splitter?" Get 100,000 rumor points. Get a special item upgrade card? It seems that Ophelia's side is going well, and the umbrella is here. When he saw the rewards from the system, Chen Feng's face became even more joyful. He casually touched the military post hanging around his neck, revealing a mysterious smile. "Isn't it a Decedent Legion? I really want to see it." Chapter 75 Task Force 141 is in action, hunting Obadiah. North American Special Operations Command, Satellite Link. Elaine Sheffield, Major General Sheffield here, calling Task Force 141. This is Price. The team is on standby. 1 day ago, our intelligence personnel discovered that the target appeared in the slums of Rio City in Barrett, South America. I need you to catch the target mission as much as possible. If you can't catch it, execute it on the spot. 141 received. The arrest operation will start in 12 hours. On the 26th, the third day of the nationwide blockade. Compared with the White Eagle Federation, which is in a blockade and is incomparably bleak, the Barrett West country still maintains its former prosperity. Rio, known as the city where heaven and hell coexist, is the capital of Balletsi. But it is also a famous crime capital, especially in his terrifying so-called largest slum in America. There are countless criminals. Even though Balletsi set up a special operation force and carried out several warlike cleanup operations, he could not put an end to gangs, traffickers, and arms dealers. To put it bluntly, there are more black gun shops in the slums of Rio than McDonald's, and the number of private guns is even more difficult to count. Even water, electricity and even community order in the slums are controlled by gangs. Each gang has a large number of thugs and militiamen in captivity. This is a place with no order at all. Even those so-called elite troops would rather face the most ferocious terrorists than enter here with light weapons. The entire Rio slum is like a powder keg, and the sun is about to explode. However, this chaotic and extremely dangerous place is indeed the best hiding place for some people. 1 hour before the action begins, John McTavish, codenamed Soap, silently looked at the photo of a bearded man in a suit with a '09 bald head in his hand. Obadiah Stanislav, a shareholder of Stark Industries, went missing after attacking Stark Industries CEO Tony Stark before the division day. Obadiah seized Tony Stark's small electric arc reactor and the information of the Mark I steel armor during the attack. We do not suspect that he is in collusion with the Council of the 12 Round Tables who secretly funded Atala's armed forces, and he is very likely involved in planning Black Friday and is one of the culprits that led to the blockade across the country. The target has a large number of Stark Industries secrets, and once the information is leaked, it will cause an immeasurable threat. We want to capture the target alive as much as possible, and if we can't capture it, we need to kill the target as much as possible. Soap McTavish put down the photo and glanced at the fat driver beside him. At the moment, a Chevrolet car in front of the 141 task force was gradually slowing down and stopped. Soap turned on the radio channel. Bulava team has entered the combat position and is waiting for the signal of action. Fatty, the driver next to him, wait, what's going on with these militiamen? Price, be alert. Soap frowned and looked at the car in front who was suddenly stopped for questioning. Something seemed wrong. Although there are militiamen wandering around with axes everywhere on the streets of Rio, the equipment of these guys seems to be much better than those militiamen wandering around. Moreover, several militiamen who came forward to interrogate were wearing hoods. However, before Soap had time to speak, 2 interrogating militiamen suddenly took out their guns and shot at the vehicle in front. None of the 4 task force members sitting in the vehicle in front were wearing heavy armor, and they were attacked at such close range. Soon, he was shot and killed with hatred, and died. Soap subconsciously lowered his head, but the driver beside him, Fatty, was a step slower. He was hit by the bullet that pierced the car window, and his bloody face was pressed against the steering wheel. Shit, we're under attack. Fire. Straight on. As soon as the live sound fell, Soap pushed open the car door, then picked up the dagger submachine gun in his hand, and shot and killed the armed militiaman who attacked with 2 short shots. A gun battle broke out on the street, and it became extremely chaotic in an instant. The civilians who were subconsciously running to avoid, and the crowd who were hit by stray bullets fell to the ground. At this time, the members of the 141st Task Force, wearing PMC urban warfare casual clothes, tactical vests, and inserted bulletproof plates, opened fire on the armed militias on the street. It didn't take long for the civilian slums, which were still extremely lively, to be gone without a single commoner, and corpses lay one after another in disorder on the street. With the sound of gunshots and bullets, Task Force 141 and the Rio Gang militia fought together. However, the situation soon turned one-sided. The gang militias in Rio are all militias after all. Even though they are funded by the 12 Round Table Council and are equipped with better equipment, most of the militias are almost without bidding. Only a part of the elite is equipped with body armor, and there are very few fully armed soldiers with full body armor and protective gear. On the other side is the 141 task force selected by the entire allied elite. Although these people are not many in number, almost everyone has good marksmanship, and is well equipped and well trained. After being attacked by armed militias in Rio at the beginning, and after suffering a dark loss, they immediately reversed the situation and fought against those militias one-sidedly. Even though those Rio armed militias relied on familiar terrain and took advantage of the complex environment of the slums to resist steadily, but these people were gang-armed militias after all. At most, they have combat experience in wars between gangs or fighting with D. In terms of technical and tactical level, it must be far inferior to the members of Task Force 141. Therefore, Although these rear militiamen resisted layer by layer and tried to delay the attack of Task Force 141 by using various terrains, they were all ineffective. Only when Task Force 141 attacked a firing terrain, the opponent even began to use heavy machine guns to suppress Task Force 141. Due to the special nature of the operation, Task Force 141 hardly brought any heavy equipment. But at this time, Lieutenant Simon Riley, Ghost holding an M14 air precision rifle, looked for a favorable shooting point, aimed at the heavy machine gun of the suppression task force, and shot to the head with one shot. However, after the firepower stopped, another machine gunner came over not long after, and was shot in the head again. After shooting two machine gun shooters in a row, Shan's Kangler had to give up the idea of continuing to use heavy machine guns to suppress. As time passed, the 141st Task Force couldn't take care of too much due to the fear of the target Obadiah's escape. Coupled with the complicated environment, they also began to use some grenade launchers, weapons and other equipment, and threw grenades at the firepower of the assembled Rio armed militia. Under normal circumstances, those Rio armed militias should have retreated long ago, but at this time they are still stubbornly resisting. Until this time, Soap suddenly received a radio from Captain Price. "Hurry up, Obadiah is on the run." As soon as the words fell, some members of the Bravo team of Task Force 141 saw Obadiah in a suit and running away under the cover of a bunch of militiamen. "Quick, quick, intercept the target. He is moving towards the city." Received. Team Charlie is flanking. Seeing that Soap was getting closer and closer to Obadiah, he was about to catch up with Obadiah after killing 7 or 8 armed militiamen blocking the way. Soap had already seen Obadiah's flustered eyes, and at this moment, an armed militiaman suddenly swooped over from the corner, blocking Soap's pursuit. Xiaoqiang Saunders, a comrade in arms at the side, shot and killed the armed militiaman who was flying over the Soap with 2 shots, and helped up the team leader who fell to the ground. "Leave me alone, capture the target." At the moment, Obadiah, who was running wildly, felt that his lungs were about to explode. He who was pampered had never escaped in such a mess, but thinking of the sad fate he would face if he was caught, he had no choice but to brace himself, enduring his lungs that were about to explode, and ran panting. Seeing that the pursuers were getting closer, Obadiah was anxious like an ant on a hot pot. Just as Obadiah was panting for breath and wanted to jump from the roof platform to the opposite bungalow roof, a figure threw him down. Target acquired. Repeat, target acquired. While handcuffing Obadiah, Price reported the situation by radio. Elaine Sheffield, who was watching this scene through the drone, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Elaine rubbed her somewhat stiff face, looking at the picture of the completed arrest operation. Since she got the authorization from Chen Feng, she began to track down Obadiah through the information from the Foundation. Obadiah took away all the information on the Mark I steel battlesuit designed by Tony, as well as a miniature arc reactor. In addition, Obadiah's identity is unusual. He has a lot of White Eagle Federation secrets, and he is also a director of the Stark Industrial Group. Therefore, this operation can only be carried out in secret and cannot be made public. Before there is no conclusive evidence, they cannot directly kill Obadiah publicly. At this time, Task Force 141 must be used. Fortunately, Task Force 141's debut was very good. Although there were some casualties, they also firmly completed the task and captured Obadiah. Next, as long as Obadiah is captured at the base, he can be interrogated secretly, and all the information he knows can be interrogated. It's just that Elaine has not had time to be happy for a long time. She has already completed the arrest and is escorting Obadiah to fly to the federal territory in a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. A huge object with a humanoid appearance and a high-speed flight is rapidly approaching here. Helicopter Flight Officer Nikolai suddenly saw the abnormality scanned on the radar. His face froze, and he hurriedly said, "There is an abnormal situation. Could it be a missile? Prepare to start launching heat decoys for evasive action. Be careful, missiles are coming." As soon as the words fell, the team members on the plane did not see the missile attacking, but a humanoid object. Only a muffled sound was heard, and there seemed to be something lying on the fuselage of the UH-60 helicopter, and the speed of the helicopter dropped instantly. WTF? What kind of monster is this? Under the shocked eyes of 437 Price and Soap, the cabin door suddenly shifted, and then the helicopter's cabin door was opened abruptly. I saw a Mark 19 armor that seemed to be one size bigger on the hatch of the helicopter. When Obadiah saw this steel armor, he was ecstatic. "Get me out quickly, Iron Overlord." As soon as the words fell, the Iron Overlord released the restraints on Obadiah's body, held him against him, and began to fly backwards. All this happened in an instant, but at this moment, the members of Task Force 141 in the cabin immediately raised their weapons, aimed at Obadiah, and pulled the trigger to shoot. Although Iron Overlord rescued Obadiah, but at this time Obadiah's overweight body did not get much protection. After being dragged out of the cabin by the Iron Overlord, although Obadiah's steel armor Iron Overlord has blocked many bullets, but Obadiah was still hit by 7 or 8 bullets and let out a scream. Seeing that Obadiah was injured, Iron Overlord did not continue to attack the UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter in front of him, and immediately flew in one direction at high speed. Members of Task Force 141 looked at their shape-shifting UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter and the empty seat where Obadiah was sitting, and looked at each other. "Sir, we were attacked by what appears to be Iron Man, and Obadiah was taken away, but before we managed to shoot him, Obadiah may not survive." Elaine stared at the fast-moving Iron Overlord on the screen with a cold face, and slammed her slender right hand on the table hard. "This bastard!" But at this time, the situation of Obadiah, who has at least 8 holes in his body, is not optimistic, and under the high-speed movement of the Iron King, when Obadiah came to a safe place, by the time it landed, he was already dying. Obadiah tremblingly took out a bottle of injection from his pocket. Seeing that the injection was not crushed by the bullet, Obadiah's pale face due to blood loss showed a trace of an expression of relief. "In this case, it can only be used in advance," Obadiah murmured to himself, then took the injection and stabbed him in the heart, and then Obadiah laid down the whole body in the Iron Overlord armor. Obadiah's body seems to be mutating at an incredible speed and merged with the Iron King's armor.